All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at our additions, deletions, and withdrawals. I do have one before we get into the others because I understand that we have our chair of our P and Z board here to talk about one of the ordinance that we have, Ordinance 11B, which is the installation of the synthetic turf. It's 2026-02. I understand, and having discussed with the attorney before the meeting, that the attorney is going to speak with the P and Z board about some of the red lines that they had raised with respect to the language of the ordinance. And it doesn't seem like it makes a whole lot of sense for us to discuss it tonight if we're going to see the changes put in before we get to second read. So I would recommend that we move this to May to give Gage time to get with John to put in his red lines. So that would be my only recommendation at this point. That one's 11B. So that's my only recommendation right now. So I'll open for the commission for any other additions, deletions, and withdrawals that we'd like to address.
I have so first is I want to make sure I have the right agenda. So we received one. Albert, you sent one this morning. It was the one you sent on Wednesday. Can you clarify what's changed?
Commissioner, I made some, we had made some changes to the stormwater, which I had sent out earlier. And in that, the email I sent out this morning said what the corrections were. It was the stormwater and also the item appointing the lady from Parks and Parksway. So we took that off for consent and we put that on the regular agenda. And then there were some minor typos that we corrected on the agenda also.
So is anything added? No, meaning nobody can say they didn't have the opportunity to see it.
Everything was noticed and properly noticed, and the agenda went out on time. It was advertised. The titles were advertised. We added the ranking for the stormwater was what we added to that item.
Okay, all right. So I think I have the right one in front of me. I'll check with you, Mayor. In that case, I will put consent agenda A, approving the agreement for the line improvement in the log cabin, right? We have A. And then F in the agenda I have is approving quote and purchase of Joe Landscaping.
That's you're talking about the resolution?
And I'm talking about resolution F, yes.
I don't have that one. I don't have that one on consent. When I just see a regular resolution. Yeah. You wanted to pull that one?
Oh, I'm sorry, because it's pulled already. So
Yeah.
no need to pull. Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's fine.
Okay, so just 9A?
Just making sure that that was in the consent. Yeah.
Okay. Any others from the rest of the commission? Hearing none. Okay, so I have, we'll move 11B, which is that second ordinance, to A, and we will move 9A into our off of consent into normal, regular resolutions, I guess. Yeah.
In order to comply with a revision state law that allows us to continue things to a date and time certain,
Oh, yes.
I'm going to read the ordinance title.
Okay.
And so we can properly continue the matter. So with the approval of the commission, we will take out of order proposed ordinance 2026-02, which is entitled An Ordinance of the Village Commission, the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of Village of Biscayne Park to regulate the installation and maintenance of synthetic turf, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, providing for scrivener's errors, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Based upon the direction of the commission, this matter will be scheduled for a date and time certain of the meeting in May, which is what date?
May 5th.
May 5th, at the commission meeting starting at 6 p.m. on that date.
Okay. Thank you, John. All right, so do I have a motion a second to approve the amended agenda?
Make a motion to approve it and to second it. I mean, make a motion to move it. Aye.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Very good. So let's move on. Our first presentation this evening is on our ARPA funds. So the floor is yours. Thank you for being with us this evening. Braving the traffic and the rain to come all the way up here. Can you give that a tap just to make sure that it's on? Just tap the front just so we can. Oop, oop. Yeah, it might have been. I might have just messed that up. There we go.
All right.
Sorry
Good
about that.
evening,
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, City Administration, and the public, of course. My name is Yolanda Aguilar. I am the consultant to the ARPA projects, and it's my pleasure to visit the village again. And I always enjoy coming to the log cabin. It's like you're transported into a different time zone, if you would. So it's very quaint, and I commend you for the upkeep of this special place. I'm here this evening to give you a very brief report. I've been working with the village manager for months now in order to become compliant with the ARPA regulations and the federal regulations as it deals with the money that we are trying to comply with all the requirements. And I know that the village had a problem at the beginning of the process. There was like a period of time where the village wasn't properly reporting the activity of the use of the ARPA funds. Mr. Childress has been very diligent with moving these projects through, and we are doing on the back end. I'm involved with the compliance portion of the ARPA funds. We recently transitioned from the Treasury Department website. The portal from the Treasury Department closed down, and we had to move our projects into the Florida PA site. So it was a new process, but I was somewhat familiar with both portals. So we've been able to establish communication with the Florida Department of Emergency Management. They oversee this. So we are on track, is what I'm trying to tell you. The next report for the period quarter ending March 30th is due on April 30th. And I have asked of the village manager to supply me with some documentation, because all the documentation on the expenditures for the $1.5 million originally allotted to the village has to have a process where we upload the information to the portal. And now we're seeing these projects quickly moving to the final stages. The Treasury Department published an amended report, which became effective on January 2026. Mr. Childress, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's the new amendments to the Treasury Department guidelines, correct?
Yes.
The only thing, and I browsed through the report, and I actually took a video, took training on a video online that was published, and nothing really changed except the timelines that they have now extended the program to its final stage to December 31st, 2026. With that comes quarterly reports. So that's what I'm involved with right now. And I understand that you may be awarding a stormwater portion of the project this evening. And as soon as the work is issued and a notice of award is issued by the village to the successful bidder, then we will be in a position to put that into the next report, which is going to be due on June 30th. So we're getting close to the end here. And I issued a memorandum to the village manager last night. I'm very confident that we're going to be successful in the completion of the project. And I am strongly recommending that the village move forward as quickly as possible so that we can close out before the December 30th, 2026 deadline. I think it's going to show good faith on the village because, 5 or 6 years have passed since these funds were allotted to the municipality. So at some point, it's going to be time to close down these projects. And we want to make sure that the audits take place and that everything is in order. So I'll feel a lot more comfortable once we have a green light with the stormwater project so that then the audit can commence. So that's where we're at now. I think you have the two most important phases of the project. And I think it's the actual work on the ground that needs to be completed and then start the audit process.
That's helpful, Yolanda. Thank you very much. Just one very quick question for you. The completion of the project, I mean, this next phase of the drainage projects is pretty big.
Yes.
I remember we had this discussion very early on about encumbering funds and versus whatever other versus actually spending the funds. Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think that it would be hard pressed for anyone to tell us that the funds are not encumbered once we get to the point where we're signing a contract with the vendor to come out here and spend the money and do the work.
Exactly.
And even though this deadline's been moved to December, which is great news, I don't know that we can reliably say that our next drainage project will be done by that time. I'm not saying it won't be. I'm just saying, is it going to be sufficient in your opinion to show that the funds are encumbered, we have a contract and the work is ongoing?
Yes, I believe so. Once you issue a notice of award, because you have gone through the bidding process or the selection process that you're following based on your guidelines, and you have issued a contract to the successful contractor, then you have actually encumbered by process the funds that were awarded to the village. And I think you'll be in great shape. Mhm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'll ask if any other commissioners have any other questions for you, but I very much appreciate the
Happy
update.
to respond to any questions.
Any questions from the commission? Yolanda, thanks so much for being here. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
the update. We're looking forward to tying this up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for having me here this evening.
Thank you. Okay, good news. So having concluded our presentations for the evening, so normally I just want to let the commission know, and for anyone that has joined us since the start of this meeting, as a reminder for anyone listening and for any member of the public, we have a 5:45 meeting where we do proclamations and presentations. And that was originally started with the intent of, moving along our 6 o'clock meetings. And I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that the proclamations that we had during the 5:45 conference was one for Autism Awareness Month for the month of April 2026. And in conjunction with that proclamation, County Commissioner Raquel Regalado sent us an Autism Awareness Month flag, which we just hoisted with the help of John, the chief, the captain, and the manager. So we will be flying the Autism Awareness flag this month in conjunction with our proclamation to create and provide awareness and follow through with our proclamations. So I'd like to extend our thanks certainly to Commissioner Regalado for sending that along to us. And then in addition, and this seems particularly relevant given some of the items that we have on our agenda this evening, is our Arbor Day proclamation. And we do this every year, and we do it again for the month of April, and specifically April 24, which is Arbor Day for this year, 2026. And just remind everyone that on April 25th, I think, Al, correct me if I'm wrong, April 25th will be our village observation of Arbor Day out here in the lawn of the log cabin. So in conjunction with that proclamation, we'll be holding that event. So I just wanted everyone to be aware of that, since sometimes the 5:45 goes kind of without a whole lot of pomp and circumstance. All right. So let's go ahead and get to our public comment, and we'll open up public comment here in the log cabin first, and then we'll move on to Zoom. And a reminder for anyone providing us with their public comment this evening, please provide us with your name and address, and public comment is limited to 3 minutes. So I will start with those here in the log cabin.
Hi, my name is Ileana Albarran, and I live on 849 Northeast 121st Street. And I came today just to put a face to a name. I'm going to be applying for the Parks and Parkways Board, and I just wanted to make myself available for any questions or just to connect.
Thanks for being with us, Ileana. So we have your item coming up on the resolutions. So if there's any questions at that time, maybe we'll ask you to hang around for just a little bit, if that's all right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks very much for volunteering and for being here. Okay, any others here in the log cabin? Going once, going twice? No? Okay. Any on Zoom? We have John.
Yeah, sure. I'll go.
Hey, John.
Hey, hi everyone. John Holland, 844 Northeast 119th Street. Sorry I can't be there in person. I'm still nose down on this project, but I know I've been saying that for a while. The end's in sight. I just hope it's not an oncoming train, but I'll know in a couple weeks. I think it's going to work out great. First off, thank you, Issa, for another successful Easter shindig. With my girl growing, I never know when the last one's going to be. So thank you again. I know he works very hard on that, as does a lot of folks down there. But he's kind of the face of it, and he's out there with the microphone all morning. So thank you again, Issa, for all that. The main thing I wanted to talk about, the lovely young lady who just introduced herself. She, as you know, is not technically a resident of Biscayne Park because she lives on the north side. I know a lot of people who live on the north side of 121st or 122nd thereabouts, and like her, they all walk south when they want to go out and enjoy nature, and they come right into Biscayne Park. I kind of consider them honorary Biscayne Park residents, but technically, because they're not, we need a 4/5 vote. So I really, 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 if you look at her qualifications, I think you'll see why. Not to mention the fact that we had a hard enough time, the board wasn't meeting for I don't know, a year or so. And we've been down a person for about that same amount of time. So we could definitely use the help, especially with someone of her qualifications and experience. So I hope you guys can come to a 4/5 agreement on that, or unanimous would be awesome as well. Wanted to mention from a P&P perspective, Parks and Parkways, not policy and procedures, to be clear. Happy to see that there's been a lot of progress on getting the trees. We have quotes. That's going to be talked about tonight, and obviously a lot of help from residents, Glenn and Tammy, the calls, and the people who helped out on the walks. So happy to see that that's moving forward. And wanted to mention also that's a couple things on the agenda tonight about pedestrian projects that Commissioner Huntington and Commissioner Amsler's reforestation. Obviously, we're happy to help with any and all of that. Non-Parks and Parkways items that I just wanted to throw out my residents' opinion on very quickly. One, as a finance MBA, yes, interest-bearing account I haven't looked at the details of the investment vehicle. However, I assume this is a low-risk investment vehicle, and we should be collecting interest on our reserves. So this seems to me like a bit of a no-brainer, but the devil's in the details. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about that and reading into it. Synthetic turf. I've driven by the park a few times, and I got to say, I've been here a long time. I've never seen the field look so bad. I know we're in a drought and all that, but I think this is a great idea for a lot of different reasons. Aesthetics, durability, usability, and that dovetails nicely, I think, with the no smoking ordinance. We don't want a new expensive turf to catch fire, right? Also a fan of the cars idling. I've noticed a lot of cars idling and smoking, and that's just not a good thing to have around the kids. And then last thing, and I'm just throwing this out because I'm half joking but half serious, I still wouldn't mind seeing a pickleball court around sometime, but I'm not holding my breath. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it, John. Thank you.
Cheers.
All right. I don't think we have anyone else on Zoom except for Paul, who's with us for finance questions. Hi, Paul. So seeing no more public comment, we'll go ahead and close public comment at this time. And I'll ask for commissioners' reply to comments, if any. Looking around, no. All right. So in that case, let's move on to our reports. Our first report up for the evening, Mr. Manager. Anything specific that you'd like to talk to us about in your report for this month?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. The month of April is a very busy month for the Village of Biscayne Park and also for the Parks and Recreation Department. This past Saturday, April 11th, we had this coming Saturday, April 11th at 6 p.m. The village will be hosting the annual Jazz in the Park Festival at 6 p.m. We're looking forward to a great turnout. Last year I attended, and it was very well attended, had some great bands, and I'm sure Issa will put together another great event. On April 25th, the Parks and Recreation Board, Parks and Parkway Board will be hosting the Arbor Day celebration that you just talked about, Mr. Mayor, and that will be from 10 a.m. till noon. And then on Friday, April 24th, the village will be hosting the mobile drive license renewal van with our tax collector, coordinating with our tax collector. And that will be at the recreational center from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Last year, we did this, we're going to do this quarterly. I think we did it about 3 months ago. It was very successful. We had appointments throughout the day. It's on the website, so we encourage people to take advantage of this. This past weekend, we hosted the annual egg hunt at the park. It was estimated that 400 to 500 people attended the event. We were blessed with wonderful weather. The Parks Recreation Department, as Mr. Holland just said, did another excellent job. I'd like to thank the police chief and his staff, Public Works, John Jenkins and his staff, Code Compliance, Ms. Grant was there. Our Parks and Recreation Department, Isa, his staff, all the hardworking dedication and made the event so successful. Also, Mr. Mayor, yourself, Commissioner Huntington, Commissioner Samaria, thank you for attending and enjoying the festivities and participating in that sack race. I think the chief has the video of it.
Not for public consumption.
Yeah. On the agenda, this evening is also is our report, the CIP projects. I hope you take a look at that and see how many of these projects are moving forward. We have many of them being awarded tonight on the agenda. As you are aware that our consultant just talked about the stormwater project. That's a critical project that we're working on, and there's timeframes that we need to meet. Also on the agenda is an LTC that provides information about the Australian pines on Griffin Boulevard. Miami-Dade County has inspected those along with our staff, our arborists, and we identified 6 of the 7 Australian pines. The one is intertwined with a fig. The fig is going to be able to be saved, but the Australian pine that's intertwined with it will have to be removed. And they're all going to be doing this at their own expense. We'll be assisting with closing off the street, and we'll let you know when that date occurs. Finally, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, as you I had reported prior, I'm going to be gone the first 2 weeks of May. I'll be traveling. Isa will be the acting village manager. As always, he does a great job. And I will be checking in on my emails at the end of the day. And hopefully everything will go smoothly for that May Village Commission meeting when we're already working on that agenda. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Manager. Are there any questions from the commission on the manager's report? Looking around, seeing none, seeing none. Okay. All right, Al, thanks very much. So let's, we'll move on to our department reports now. Are there any questions or any comments or anything from the commission on the building department report for this month? Hearing none. Okay. I know we have Doreen here with us. We're on, we have our code compliance report. Are there any questions or comments from the commission on the code compliance report that Doreen might be able to address?
I appreciate you coming forward with the detail of the driveways and what the status is. I was wondering if there is a way, there was a resident that came forward with that question specific. And maybe we know who it is and we can provide that specific report to him.
Yes, Commissioner, we've already forwarded that report to him.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Doreen. All right, so our next report is Parks and Rec, and Isa's here with us. Are there any questions on the Parks and Rec Department report for this month? Hearing none. Hearing none. Thank you, Isa. Police Department, we have our chief and the captain here with us. Are there any questions on the Police Department report for this month from the commission? Hearing none. Okay. All right, Chief, Captain, thank you. Finance, we have our finance report. I know Paul is, I think he's on Zoom with us. Any questions on the finance report for this month? None? No? Okay. Next is Public Works. John's here with us. Any questions for John on the Public Works report for this month?
I just had a question. Last year there was for preparation of storms coming up, hurricane season, there was a pile of sands in the different areas. And have those been how do you say, resodded? Is the plan to resod those? Is the plan to, what are we doing with this space where the sand was piled? Because the grass is obviously,
Yeah, it wasn't, there
Non-existent.
wasn't sod there to begin with, Commissioner. It was more weeds than anything. So we have removed the sand that was there, and probably in June 1st, we'll probably replenish those sand piles and put more sand out there.
so the sand is going to go back into the same spots? It's not going to go by the church or anything?
By the church?
Yeah, no, I think I'm mixing up with the debris that we agreed with.
Debris goes to the church, yeah.
There is no other opportunity to put that somewhere else, that it's not, and again, it can be another, conversation. I was just wondering, from Public Works, you drive by, those places used to have weeds or greens in any way. Now it's just sand. So I was wondering if that was a plan to, something
I'm
that.
sure with all the rain we're getting that there'll be some greenage going in there now.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so our CIP report from the manager is our final report in item number 8. Does anyone have any questions on this CIP update? None? No? Okay. So commission reports is our final report for the evening. I'll just start on one end and come this way. Does anyone like to provide, would anyone like to provide a commission report at this time?
All I'd like to add is thank you to all the employees, ISA, Parks and Rec Department. Thank you again for a great event last weekend, the egg hunt. It was very well attended and very well done as always. I just want to say thank you. I'm looking forward to Jazz in the Park this weekend.
Same here, but I also like to, and I already did this to the chief, but anytime any of our officers do something really good, I want it to be brought out. And we had an incident where I went to a youth fair and I had a very bad effect. And I got home and one of our officers who was on duty was very concerned. I mentioned this to the city manager and to the chief, and I just wanted to congratulate the chief because sometimes people criticize what our officers do. And I think that was it was a very serious thing that I went through. And it was good that he was willing to take me to emergency if I needed it. So I just wanted to comment that did it privately, but I also like to do it publicly. Thank you.
Commissioner, Vice Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yes. So I just wanted to highlight, I had several mentions or invitations celebrating Women's History Month. And I missed the proclamation you did last month because I got here at 6. So I wanted to say thank you publicly to Christy Fraga, Mayor of El Doral, put together a beautiful event, invited all women around the county to participate, to mingle. It was beautiful. And I was there representing Biscayne Park together with Councilwoman Mary Estime Irvin from the city of North Miami. I didn't know this happened for the past 7 years. It was the first time I was able to assist, and it was quite the party. I was impressed by the way they threw out the window and everybody participated, and it was a lot of female empowerment. So it was beautiful. And I also wanted to appreciate Congresswoman Federica Wilson for the mention. And, notice that I didn't do that. Month sort of flew away and I didn't get the chance again to be part of that proclamation. So I'll extend a bit later, but I want to thank all of you as women. They're part of this. Those that engage, those that volunteer, those that are there for each other. So there was a lot of talk of how we connect better, and it was quite nice. So thank you to all of that. And the last thing, I got back to Miami, the county animal services. If you remember, I had an item related to TVNR efforts. And so I did invite them to come forward. They actually suggested, part of the services they provide is, how do we connect more? Is there opportunity for presentation materials to be distributed, et cetera? So I think it would be great for May for them to come and do a short presentation on what those services could mean for us and how residents can take advantage more of what is already at the disposal, not additional money that we pay, but within their taxes that they can tackle. So that's to be coordinated through staff, but in the conversation, hopefully they can make it for in the upcoming commission meetings. That's it.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Maybe Al, we could put a placeholder on for the presentations for the county to come up and give the presentation on the TNR.
Yeah, that would be great.
Excellent. Thank you. So very quickly, it's already been said, but just to say it again, Issa, you guys did a great job. Public Works did a great job. Police Department did a great job. Everyone involved. Doreen, you were there as well. Everyone did a great job. Staff did a great job. It was a fun event. And Commissioner Samari and I got a chance to be in the sack race, which was fun. We didn't win. No video. Doesn't exist. Just thank you again for the event. It was well done as always. And my kids beforehand didn't want to do the egg hunt, and then when we got there, they did so well that they were very happy. So you turned them around. So great job. Quick update on property taxes. I'm sure as anyone has followed the news, there's likely to be a special session for property taxes. At this time, there's been no continuing and ongoing discussions with the county on how to address it because that session needs to be set. So it's been pretty quiet, on the county front on the discussion on property taxes. So to the extent that we get any more information from them, I'm happy to bring it to the commission. I believe, if I saw this correctly, that Al had forwarded an email to the commission that we received from County DOT, where they were able to set up, recall that there was an email from a resident group, I think up 119th, asking for some information on traffic, asking that we put in some calming measures. The county was very helpful. They jumped into this very quickly. They did a traffic study. Their findings were their findings, they are what they were. But we, through the ILA, still have the ability to control some calming measures. And as we've all discussed for a long time now, traffic calming measures need to be supported by data. So have not yet done it, but I told Al that I will be doing this. I'm going to reach out to Diana. She's our contact at County DOT to ask if they'll share the data with us so we can to potentially use it to support the installation of traffic calming measures to the extent that we are able. So I'm interested to see what they collected, how they collected it, and what it says. So I know the county has in years past said that they are willing to share data with us. I don't have any expectation that they won't do that this time as well. But as soon as I get that information from them, hopefully, I'll ask Al to provide it to the rest of the commission.
Can I ask you a question? So
Yeah.
the feedback was, there are certain specifications you have to follow, right? In order to have this data
For us to do it or for the county to do
for
it?
the county to do.
Yeah, it has to, that has certain criteria that it has to meet, and
No,
not to jump to the conclusion, yeah, sorry. They didn't find the data sufficient to support the county intervening to do anything on the road. So
They won't do it, but
Correct.
they are able maybe to provide the materials needed for the data collection.
correct.
I'm sorry, the raw data or the insights on the data. And that was a distinction I wanted to make. One thing, if they give you just an Excel sheet with all the numbers,
Yeah.
it would be great if they can collaborate.
Right,
Say,
we need to be
with
much
these
more good.
numbers,
right.
do you have best practices of other cities that maybe are not, qualifying with the specs, but have taken advantage of specific deterrents?
It's certainly part of what I'd like to ask them. I mean, my understanding with the ILA, we can take, as long as the data supports it, that we're able to do it, as long as it complies with the engineering standards that we have attached to our ILA, which just adopts the county ones.
Yeah.
So it's just going to depend on what that says. So as soon as we have it, hopefully we'll be able to interpret in a way that's able to support some help in that area. So one step at a time, hopefully they'll share it with us.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Yeah.
clarify, my reading of the email was that their study focused more on instituting an always stop at 11th Court. They didn't really talk about speed in their study. They were more focused on stop signs.
So I'm curious, that's why I'm curious to see what data they collected.
I am too, and maybe the formal proposal would be to instruct the manager to either provide us an LTC on this or report next month with that data and next steps on whether or not we need to engage with Kimley Horn or another design, or if that data is sufficient to move forward with the idea of a traffic calming measure.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. I'm just curious, first things first is I want to get it. Because
of
I
course.
don't know if it's just counts. I don't know if it's, I know chief, I know they mentioned on their accidents, but I think they said one accident in the last decade or whatever it was. And I know that's the accident that the resident group is focusing on, of course. So that's why I'm just curious. I'm curious, what do they have? What did they take? What did they collect, and how did they do it? What do you got, Chief?
Chief Carlos Avila. They usually do a count and it's based on amount of traffic on the street. And I don't think it made it to any level of,
Just gonna be data.
I-
Yeah.
What I kind of surmised it was that it was just a
Right.
count, but until I'm at that stage of, I don't know what I don't know. So I'll wait to see what they get and, we will make the appropriate decision, I think, from there.
But I agree.
Appreciate it, Chief.
Sorry. I agree with Commissioner Huntington. I think the idea of putting it on as a discussion item, maybe with seeing the data that we have would be our next step. And again, this has been, as you just mentioned, for so long. I would do a next agenda if it's possible, just to have the conversation of what does it mean and what for us is the next step.
I agree.
Also not,
Completely agree. I think that we have the pulse of something here. I don't want to lose sight
Yeah.
of it. We
Yeah.
have data coming in. Let's continue to hone that to an actual solution.
I'm with you. All right. Well, that will conclude our commission reports for now. So let's move on to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that will bring us to our resolutions for this evening. Our first resolution is going to be item 10A, 2026-28. I know we moved one of them, but we'll do that. I guess we'll do that last. So John, would you be so kind as to please read that one onto the record for us?
which one, I'm sorry?
2026-28, it's 10A.
And this is Resolution 2026-28, entitled "A Resolution of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, approving the purchase of one 2026 Ford Police Interceptor Utility AWD vehicle using a competitively awarded agreement by another governmental agency, providing for conflicts, scrivener's errors for severability, and an effective date."
All right, thank you, John. Do I have a motion and a second to move to
I
discussion?
make a motion to approve resolution 2026-28, resolution approving purchase of police vehicle from Cranford Road.
Second.
Okay. I read the cover memo, Mr. Manager. I know we have Paul on with us because there's some finance implications on where the funds are coming from, but I think it's pretty well detailed in the memo on where these funds are being provided from alternative sources. Are there any questions or any discussion items that anyone would like to bring up with respect to the resolution?
No.
No? Okay. All right. So having no discussion on the item, all in favor of approving resolution 2026-28?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Very good. So let's move on to resolution 10B, which is 2026-29. John, would you please be so kind as to read the resolution onto the record for us?
Mr. Mayor and Commission, this is Resolution 2026-29, entitled "The Resolution of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, accepting the lowest responsible and responsive bid submitted by Chin Diesel, Inc. for the demolition of the Public Works Storage Building located at 893 Northeast 109th Street, Biscayne Park, and authorizing the village manager to issue a task order to Chin Diesel, Inc. for the demolition of the Public Works Storage Building, providing for conflicts, scrivener's errors, severability, and an effective date."
Thanks, John. Do I have a motion and a second to move to
Yes.
discussion?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2026-29, approving Chan Diesel tax order for demolition of public works storage building.
Second.
All right. So I know that this will hopefully make Doreen feel a little bit better that we're moving this thing forward finally, and John as well. I'll just ask the commission if there are any questions or discussion items that they'd like to bring up at this time on the resolution.
I do.
Okay.
This basically means we're getting ready to go, with this, we're ready to go and demolish what we have, right?
You're approving for the administration to go ahead and accept the lowest and most responsive bid that we've submitted for the demolition of that structure.
The next step will be demolishing it.
The next step would be for us to meet with that contractor, make sure that the terms are agreeable, and enter an agreement with them, and then for them to obtain a demolition permit and proceed with the demolition.
But I was wondering, so what do you think in terms of timing? And I was thinking for everybody that lives around, I give myself notice already that that's gonna happen. But wondering for every neighbor, when is this gonna happen and what do they expect on a process like this?
Well, Commissioner, it's all enclosed on our own property. It's not really,
I'm just wondering, I don't know, I'm asking, is this something that's gonna be loud? Is this gonna be 3 weeks of work of trucks coming and going?
it's gonna be a couple of days. It's not gonna be weeks. But that's part of the negotiations. The contract will make sure that they have the minimum impact on the neighborhood as possible.
So a couple of days, and the whole process on getting into an agreement and actually doing it, is this expected in the next couple months, or is there a
Yeah,
time?
in the next 30 days, we should have an agreement.
Got it. Right. Those were my questions.
Okay, thanks, Vice Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any other questions before we vote? Hearing none. Okay. So all in favor of approving the resolution?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and I completely lost my agenda. There it is. All right, so our next resolution for this evening is Resolution 2026-30. It's 11C. John, would you please be so kind as to read this onto the record for us?
Yes, Mayor and Commission. This is Resolution 2026-30, entitled "A Resolution of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, authorizing the village manager or designee to transfer certain village reserve funds from a non-interest bearing account to an interest bearing account, providing for conflicts, scrivener's errors, for severability, and an effective date."
Thank you, John. Do I have a motion and a second?
Yes, I make a motion to approve resolution 2026-30, approve and transfer a reserve trust funds into interest-bearing account.
Second.
Okay, is there any specific discussion or questions about the item?
Yes,
Go ahead.
sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to compliment the manager on it because I think this is what we should have had a long time ago is interest bearing, And I know government sometimes doesn't work that, but for business, when you you always says, make money on money that you put in, you be able to make a lot more money for it. And that's what I think. So I'm just congratulating the city manager. I think this is a great idea. Should have been done in the past.
All right, thanks, Commissioner. Any other comments or discussion items on the item?
It was actually the same. And I was gonna ask Paul, is online, right?
I am.
It's on there. I think-
Oh,
Hey, there he is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, we can hear you, Paul.
hear you. So I was wondering, what's the history of that? Because that was my first question. Why didn't we do this before?
Well, this is all Al's fault. That's the
Okay.
first.
We know that.
No, he's exercising a very responsible resolution for you today to be very transparent. Frankly, this is already in our guidelines. We've already established these bank accounts, and it was a routine of all of our clients, but particularly yours, to move funds.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Right
What's
at-
that?
To move funds right after. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, to move funds right after we start to receive the tax receipts after the November 1st billing into an interest-bearing account. So that's step one. Two, we realized 2 years ago that the state board account was outperforming your bank account, your savings account, if you will. And that was an opportunity for us to sort of show you how much of a big difference it is to put it in that account versus your normal banking savings account. We have the authority to do this. It was passed 6 years ago when I first got involved, but I appreciate your village manager bringing this to your attention through a formal resolution. I don't know that it'll be necessary, but I don't think anyone was on this commission back then. So I thought it was an admirable effort on his part to show you what we're doing.
Awesome. Thank you. That's great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Paul, and good to have the input from our resident finance expert. That's not a legal opinion, John Holland. Thanks, John. All right, so all in favor of approving the resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's move on. Our next item is 10D. which is resolution 2026-24. John, would you be so kind as to please read it onto the record for us?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, this is resolution 2026-24 entitled "A Resolution of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, ranking proposals received for the installation and maintenance of trees within the village, approving an agreement with top-ranked proposer, authorizing the village manager to execute the agreement and any related documents on behalf of the village, providing for conflict, scrivener's errors for severability, and an effective date."
Thanks, John. Do I have a motion and a second?
Yes.
to Discussion.
Yes, like to make a motion to approve resolution 2026-24, village tree proceedings, installment and establishment of these services.
Second.
Okay, so Al, as I understand the item, what you're looking for from the commission is guidance on how we would rank the bidders for this project to provide you with direction to begin a negotiation with those bidders, correct? So this is just at this point, this is the bids that you've received from these groups and that you are looking for direction from the commission to go to that group and talk specifics. Is that correct?
So, Commissioner, so I appointed a committee to review the bids and to score the bids. So that has been done, and they met individually. For them to meet as a group, it would have to been noticed and be a public meeting. So since that didn't occur, you have to rank them. We were under the code of silence until just now when this was read. And so now in a public forum, you have to rank them. My recommendation is that you accept the lowest, the most responsible bidder, which is the lowest price, and grant me the authority to start myself and the village attorney for us to both meet with that vendor and to negotiate a contract, an agreement with them that meets the requirements of the specs. And if we can't meet an agreement with them, then we move on to the next lowest qualified bidder.
Okay.
That's what we're looking for. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I know this just came up just for the benefit of the commission. Al, this came up in our discussions about going to these providers and making sure not only that they understand what we're looking for, but also that we negotiate. I mean, this goes really without saying, but negotiate the best possible deal that we can on behalf of the village, which would hopefully include 3 years of watering, 3 years of warranty for these trees, since we've seen this happen in the past where certain providers have provided and planted trees, didn't provide the warranty that we wanted, didn't maintain them, and we lost a lot of them. So, using that as a teaching point for us, I suppose, that we can go to the vendors, however we rank them, with that understanding, correct?
Yeah, so Mr. Mayor, the specs only had 2 years of watering, but since that time, we've had some feedback from Parks and Parkways and some other members saying that after 2 years, some trees died. So we wanted to change that and negotiate that for a year period to see what the additional expense would be, and also to make sure those trees were warranted for a 3rd-year period. So that's what we're looking for. And just to point out that on this review committee was the chair of the Parks and Parkways. So she reviewed each of these bids and ranked them and was part of the process.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, just for the record, I want to make sure that everyone understands that there was no meeting of the committee. They were asked to individually review and provide a score for each of them, and then staff, processed all that information to give what you have here today. So that is why there's that requirement that we're asking the commission to do, which is to take that information and rank, how you all feel is the top ranked candidate based upon all the information, including experience and pricing. And then we will go back and execute, finalize that agreement, assuming we can reach an understanding, particularly based upon the addition of the new year or additional year, and then enter into the agreement with whoever that company might be.
Okay. I appreciate that, John. So I at this point, guess I'll just open it up to the commission for any comments on it. I mean, I'm prepared to propose something, but I'm happy to hear from the rest of the commission on thoughts.
Yeah, I think the city manager addressed it. I was on the commission before, twice before, no, once before. And we had the problem with the trees dying of the water. So to me, that's very important. I think that we need that to be where they have to extend that, make sure that the warranty is more than 2 years because as you know, they die after 2 years and we got stuck. We don't have the water trucks to do it. So I want to be sure that if there's a price that we have to find out what that price is. And even if we have to pay it, we have to pay it. I mean, it's important. Can't have trees dying.
Okay.
So I have questions. So John, just to understand the process. So here we have, is the bidding on the RFP asking 60% as it states here that is going to become price heavy, right? And then we say 35%, it's based on what qualifications you brought, and then the 5% extra, the references. And that job was determined by certain people that participated individually, graded, and based on this grading, this ranking in front of us is what comes up.
That is correct.
Okay. So when I'm a bit lost in the process, and I don't remember doing this for any bidding before, and that's why I kind of jumped to this, is why does the commission, without having been part of any conversation with any of these vendors, is the one to approve this ranking? I mean, for me, I look at this and I look at the totals and I go by the totals. But that if you go by the totals, are we saying the total amount of 259 points is who needs to be awarded? But that happens to be also the best price proposal because it takes 60% of the weight. So it makes just automatically for me would say following the ranking that vendor needs to.
Well, the reason for this is, the village has historically used a procurement system that's based on request for proposals versus bid. Solely you're looking at the price. If that were the case, we would just, provide that recommendation to you. We have with some other items that are lower cost. But when we start getting into these large of projects or larger projects, the, administration prefers to look at the totality of their experience, not just price. As to why we are doing it this particular way, it's really an issue of timing. It's to get this project moving forward as quickly as possible. So there's no further lag. And that is why we're asking the commission to rank the proposals as opposed to either the advisory committee or the manager doing that. So we don't have to delay this an additional month and a half.
So who was the committee in charge of doing this? How many people met with the different,
It's on the memo, Commissioner.
you remember? It's like,
It was the chair that was on the
Yes.
committee. I think, John, you were on the committee and Doreen.
that.
Those three were on the committee.
Thank you. So rather than just going through an open RFQ that's just going to be priced based, we're given more variables to make a holistic view on the vendor and better educate the decision. Where I'm still falling short is what role do we carry? And if anything, besides what we read, again, the ranking is there. We were not part of the process. I'm just wondering, could we just say, I'm just trying to understand. So actually, I think Visual Escape is great. I've heard great comments and therefore I vote for them. Is that a possibility that you're asking me to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That, this commission
Yeah.
is the holder of the purse strings.
Yes.
And so you do have, if you so wish, the discretion to rank the proposals in any manner that you wish, factoring in the scoring that was done by the individuals, and direct us to negotiate and enter into contract with whomever you select as the top ranked proposer. And yes, it does give you the discretion to pick, let's say, for example, Visualscape Inc., which has the highest price proposal, but you may be impressed with their qualifications and their recommendations.
Yeah. Okay. Get it. Is this something we've done in the past? When was the last time we put together a ranking like this and had the commission come forward? And I'm thinking if this is the idea moving forward based on time, so it's time constrained, the format that sort of brings this forward?
That's right. This particular, the various items, I think there's two other items on the agenda that we're asking similar action from the commission.
Mm.
And in my conversations with the village manager, with Mr. Childress, it is time sensitivity driven as the main factor. So there is no additional delay in moving these projects.
And let me ask you, if we were to do the avenue we have been using for bidding, which will be a form an RFQ, which you say it's solely based on price, right?
No, that's bid. It's an invitation to bid.
And it could also be variable to different things, or it's just based on price? I want to be clear. Okay, so if we were to do the main differences, it's just price based, what would a normal bidding process take?
We would put the bid out onto the street.
Yep.
We would receive the bid proposals, and staff would evaluate the bid, make a determination that the bids that have been submitted are what is called responsive and responsible, and then go to and rank them on who's the lowest bid. And
Which we've done in the past. I was just wondering the time frame of that would be.
well, that doesn't require anything other than as soon as the bids come in,
Yeah.
in theory, staff time bidding, the rankings of the bids could be done within 24 hours.
Mhm.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make an interceding motion ranking 123 Croton Inc. as number 1, Rodriguez as number 2, and Visualscapes as number 3.
So your motion then is to rank them as they're presented on the spreadsheet there?
Yes, and as reflected in the points totals.
So Ryan, listen, there is no need for the interruption. I get it that you want to move quickly, but this is the first time we're actually changing the way we're bidding to contractors. And it's putting the responsibility on us, not having been part of any interview with vendors. So I'm not trying to delay. I need to have these questions answered in order to make a call. So if you just give me a minute, you interrupted the attorney as he was speaking.
To your last, or to answer the last question, or actually it's the first question in reverse order. I do not know when was the last time that it was done this particular way. Obviously I've been on this job for
You are another one to ask for history.
for
I get it.
just a couple of months, but even going back to my previous tenure, I can't recall that it's been done this way or not. To be honest, I just don't
Yeah.
have that answer.
That's okay. I think, again, I wanted to understand what that means for us and sort of in what context is this a way to, for us to operate, consider we have specific ordinances related to how, a bidding process goes. We have a contract with a vendor that helps us through bidding process so that they can be executed with support. I don't know. I'd like to hear your comments as to how you guys come about making this decision.
Well, before we go further, we have a motion proposed, and I do want to be respectful of someone proposing a motion. My very brief comment on it is, we've done it this way before. We would just do it by price. We say these people are qualified, they bid, and we're going by the lowest. So that's just the way that I'm used to it. So this just provides additional metrics for me.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Sure.
So if it's by price, why wouldn't we go to an open bid? That's the only thing I'm asking, because here, 60% is price, but there are other consideration, and it's not per se a bidding process. There's, you know, other people involved, staff, and in essence, you know, we haven't go through the process of publicly opening those envelopes, making sure there hasn't been. So, I mean, it's a big responsibility. I'm just wondering if it's just by price when you make this decision, why wouldn't we do it on a bidding?
Point of order, Mayor. In the past, we have done everything by price. This process I like because it's based on the lowest bid, but also qualification.
And I agree with that.
And I think in the past, we have bet the lowest, whoever got the lowest bid got the job.
Yeah.
And sometimes we didn't get the best bid. So I like this process where it's not only the lowest bid, but it's also the qualifications. We have not done in the past. In the past, we have done, if I remember when I was on the commission, whoever got the lowest bid, we assumed that they were qualified, but they really wasn't. So we have had jobs in the past where we have the lowest bid and it wasn't the best thing. So I'd rather pay more to get the correct best job. That's the only comment.
And your motion is which ranking again?
Just as a reflect on the cover memo.
So going to the cheapest bid.
Yes.
Croden, E. Rodriguez, and Visualscape being the third.
So I'm going to give you, it's just as we discussed, because again, it helps me frame how I place my vote. But in any open bidding, these companies come forward with the understanding there's going to be service constraints that they have to provide. They're usually contracted, and there's a person in charge of supervising that the quality is delivered and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, that sort of goes with the purpose of hiring a vendor. I 100% agree that we've learned that it's not always the best scenario. It happened, I think, in the last project for storms, the drains projects, that there were issues of quality at the end, right? People came forward saying they were not leveled, or there were questions about the process itself during construction. So we're always going to have those. I am not sure that this process is going to save us that it might not happen. We'll have, you know, because now we're considering in the package service and background that the service is going to be outstanding. So again, I'm against the fence here because of what that means in terms of change in the way we've done open bidding publicly and following our ordinances.
I understand and I hear what you're saying, and
Yeah.
I can appreciate the perspective. I think the safeguard here, the safety net, so to speak, is that this is us ranking and providing the manager with the opportunity to go to these people. And I don't believe that the manager would agree to enter into one of these contracts if after discussion, he doesn't feel that they are qualified to do the job. So because we're ranking in that way, we're saying, Mr. Manager, you can go to these people, you can negotiate a contract, you can get the best terms available. You know, if negotiations fail with the first one, you move on to the second one, in that you are acting with the best interest of the village in mind. So with that understanding, you know, I'm happy to move the motion, because again, I know Commissioner Hunting proposed it, and I have not, my apologies, have not asked for a second on it.
I will second it.
Okay, so we have a second on Commissioner Huntington's motion. So because we have a motion and a second, I will ask for the commission to vote at this time.
Aye.
I vote yes.
No.
I vote yes, but I will say that I don't disagree with Commissioner Amsler in the sense that, you know, we as a commission put out the framework of what we feel that we want for the community, or what the community gives us in feedback. And then it's the manager's job and responsibility to go out and get those RFPs, RFQs, whatever, however you want to call them, and then come back to us. I think this turned into like a more of a procedural thing than really what it should have been, which was, this is who we've selected, this is who came in, and we're just asking for your, you know, give us the old. But I think it's gotten a little bit more confusing in the sense that they want us to rank, and I'm not going to rank anybody. That's the manager's job, and I will give him that responsibility to say, hey, you know, we said this is what we want. Now it's the manager's job to go out and get the qualified candidates and go through the process. So I think that's where the confusion for me was, because I'm not going to rank anybody. That's the manager's job is to do, and ultimately it's his responsibility to hire the right people. So, but I don't, so I'm going to agree, but I don't disagree with Commissioner Adams.
Mr. Mayor, if I should
Fair.
point out that, to clarify, that
Yeah.
these were ranked by a committee, just that for the sake of time, the committee didn't meet publicly. So this is the requirement, is that we meet publicly and accept the rankings of 3 independent reviewers and put it out in the public notice. So
But we didn't have to accept that, is the point. We didn't,
I
we could have,
understand
we could have made a disaster tonight,
that probably wouldn't have been a prudent financial decision to,
or an efficient one either.
but there's, besides this dais, they were ranked by 3 individuals with,
Let me clarify that.
Hold on,
They
go ahead.
weren't ranked. That's the issue. They weren't ranked, they were scored individually, and instead of, to save 30 days and be able to get the project moving forward as quickly as possible, we're bringing that next step in the process of actually ranking them, which is what you do in a request for proposals, directly to the commission, as opposed to the advisory committee. That would be the next step, and we're bypassing that and bringing that directly to the commission to, again, expedite the project, because that's the direction that we've received.
And also the committee knows the village. I mean, the people that are selected is not outside. I just don't, I don't have a problem with this at all. We have to have the responsibility. In the past, we have had city managers that have not done their job. And so this one you have to trust. And, I trust him to do this right. So we can't micromanagement. And that's what we did in the past.
I still, look, I'm voting yes on it, Al. And the way that I look at it is understanding the concern that the vice mayor's raised, understanding what Art has said, but still also of the belief and understanding that this went out for bid, that we had qualified, responsive and responsible, I wrote that down, responsive and responsible groups provide a bid to us, and then that they were looked at. And, looking at Croton, for example, with, coming in under the next closest, which is E. Rodriguez, that I put my trust and faith in you, that when you speak to this group and you talk about their credentials and say, all right, you were responsive and responsible, that if you don't feel that they can do the job, then you'd move on to number 2. So that's the way that I would view it. And I know we're going to have to do this again very shortly. So we're going to be talking about this again. So as far as resolution 2026-24, I think we're resolved on that one, but we're going to go right back into it with 2026-26. So, John, would you please be so kind as to read resolution 2026-26 for us, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor, members of the commission, this is resolution 2026-26, entitled "A Resolution of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, ranking proposals received for the construction of stormwater drainage improvements Phase 2A, approving an agreement with the top-ranked proposer, authorizing the village manager to execute the agreement and any related documents on behalf of the village, providing for conflicts, scrivener's errors for severability, and an effective date."
Okay, thanks, John. Do I have a motion in a second to
Yeah,
move?
make a motion to approve resolution 2026 for the stormwater drainage improvements Phase 2A project.
second.
Okay, thank you. Al, did you want to provide any background or introduction for the item for us, please?
No, Mr. Mayor, as you heard earlier, this is the ARPA fund money project. That's very time sensitive. We wanted to move this forward as quickly as possible. We hope to award this, as by the end of the month and get this project going off the ground. So we appreciate your support on this.
And so just to kind of reiterate what we talked about on the last item, again, this is the commission providing some direction to you, Al, to open negotiations with one of these bidders, one of these contractors that responded to the request, and then in the order in which we would provide them, correct?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I'll open to the commission for any discussion or any motions on the item.
No questions.
No others?
I do.
Okay.
So this is following sort of the same situation, correct? Where we have certain areas and evaluated. Is that right, Albert?
I'm sorry.
So this follows the same process as the one we just discussed before, where you have people evaluating?
Yeah, we had a committee evaluated, had scored them, and now those scores are being brought to you to rank them, yes.
Okay. And also with the idea of speeding the process, usually they will go through an RFP, and that's the reason you want to do it this way.
Commissioner, as you're probably aware, we have some 13 CIP projects that are going on. We had numerous bids going out. We wanted to move those bids along. Yeah, that's why we were trying to, especially with this one, it was very time sensitive. We wanted to move this one along.
Yeah.
Okay, any motions from the commission on how or discussion points on how we'd like to rank these based on the evaluations from, this looks like from
Make a motion, we rank them from 1 to 6, following the point totals, starting with the V Engineering Group at 244, and last would be Metro Express at 163.
that would be just, so it would go V Engineering, Homestead Concrete and Drainage, Amisi Engineering, Stout Group, FG Construction, and the 6th place Metro Express, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to rank based on point totals from the advisory group. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Also being the largest CIP project we've had for years, I don't feel comfortable with the system. I would have rather go to an open bidding like we did last time. Again, I understand why we're trying to switch things, but I don't think a month, it's $1.3 million, 800,000. We're talking a big ticket item. It's a no.
Okay. Sorry, I'll vote in favor. Okay, all right, so that takes care of resolution 2026-26. Our next resolution is item F, which is resolution 2026-25. John, would you please read the resolution on the record for us?
Yes, Mayor and members of the commission, this is resolution number 2026-25, entitled "A Resolution of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, accepting the quote submitted by Joe's Landscaping and Tree Service for the removal of dead or diseased trees in village-controlled or owned medians on 119th Street, authorizing the village manager to execute all necessary documents and expend budgeted funds for the removal of the trees, providing for conflict, scrivener's error, severability, and an effective date."
Thanks, John. Do I have a motion and a second to move to discussion?
Yes, I make a motion to approve resolution 2625, approving quote and purchase of Joe Landscaping, reference 119th Street medium tree removal.
Second.
All right, so Al, I know you had the cover memo. I know you detailed the arborist reports and you've attached the arborist reports here, talking about the condition of the tree and the inspection that the arborist had provided for each of the trees that are listed here. Is there anything else that you'd like to provide to the commission before you discuss?
No, so this was initiated from a resident and on 119th Street that had brought to our attention the condition of that black olive. And then when we went out to inspect the black olive, we noticed the other tree and had a report done on the other tree.
Okay. Any questions or discussion points from the commission on the resolution?
Just, I had this discussion with first off, I approve this, but I just want for anyone out there that wants to know why Joe's always gets to the landscaping, me and you had this discussion and I approve this, but Joe's Landscaping always gets the bidding. Could you explain how that happened?
Well, Commissioner, he always comes in with the lowest price.
Yes, right.
So we got requested 3 quotes. Our Public Works manager selects 3 firms and asks for 3 quotes from those 3 firms, and Joe always underbids the other 2 firms.
And you have been, as they say, scrutinized them really well. I mean, I
Yes,
trust that you
yes.
scrutinized them very well, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's,
Let me clarify that he underbids blindly. He doesn't have, none of these companies have access to the quote being submitted by their competitors. So it is a blind system, and he just gets the right number, and it's historically been the lowest. That's all
And Commissioner, for point of clarification, Big Dogs did win a bid a few months ago for some tree removals as well. So it's not always.
Any other questions or discussion points on the resolution before we move to vote? No? Okay. All right. All in favor of approving resolution 2026-25?
aye.
No.
Aye. Okay, we have 2 more. And the last one listed here before we move on to, which was previously 9A, is the item appointing Ileana to the Parks and Parkway Board. Go ahead, John.
the item that was pulled from consent.
Does that come first?
Yeah, it's a resolution.
Got it. Well, sorry, Ileana, you got to wait just a little bit longer for us then. All right, so then the other resolution is what was formerly tagged as 9A, which is Resolution 2026-31. John, would you read that one onto the record for us, please?
Yes, Mayor, members of the commission, this is resolution number 2026-31, entitled "The Resolution of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, accepting the proposal submitted by R.E. Chisholm Architects, Inc. to provide architectural and engineering design services for site lighting improvements at the village's historic log cabin, and authorizing the village manager to enter into a letter agreement for the log cabin lighting architectural and engineering design services, providing for conflict, scrivener's error, severability, and an effective date."
Great, thanks, John. Do I have a motion and a second
Yes.
to move to discussion?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2026-31, approving the letter agreement for lighting improvements at the log cabin.
Second.
Okay. Vice Mayor, I know you asked that we move this one off consent. So would you like to lead with a question or discussion?
Yes, thank you. So my question was, as I was looking at the letter that they include under services, because I wanted to be clear what they're providing us for this money. Under services, it says, take existing conceptual design by others to incorporate site lighting and prepare construction documents. So I got a bit confused. So what are we asking them to do in terms of, was there a design? I believe the answer is yes. There was already a design pushed forward years ago about what lighting needed to be for the log cabin. I wasn't sure if this related to that, and they come in and provide the services to push this through the construction pipeline with the permitting first and the proper mechanicals and all of that needed. So I was trying to understand if this agreement is developing the lighting design or implementing a previous design that was approved.
So Commissioner, this is what they're just going to develop for us the specs so that a permit can be pulled. These are the construction documents that they're going to design for us.
On which design?
Well, it was just a concept. It wasn't really a design. They had a concept of outdoor lighting. So,
that wasn't included here. So I wanted to understand. So
no, this is just showing where the trenches are going to be built and how much electricity we need to power those lights, and that it's not the type of lights, not the design of the lights or anything like that. No.
So, but in order for them to, so that's what I'm trying to understand. For them to define what's needed and make sure that we're prepared, there had to be something designed by someone else. It says here designed by others. So they're not going to design the lighting for the log cabin. They're going to help through the permitting process and guide us through, I guess, all of that. My question is there a lighting design that was already done for the log cabin? And this is step number 2 where they come into
Yeah, there was some conceptuals a long time ago that there was conceptuals that we had forwarded them so that they could review those conceptuals. And
Got
then
it.
so they can work on those construction documents, yes.
Wasn't that Calvin Giordano by any chance?
I don't recall. That was,
Okay, so that was because I didn't see, they were not included in the agenda, right? The design was not included in the agenda, the schema, the original design.
no, it was just the conceptual. I mean, just this document awarding them the agreement to draft the permit documents.
Okay, so again, for what I recall, I was trying to make memory of how we got to this space. And when I was reading the contract, it talks about 2 deliverables. One, the existing conceptual design by others to incorporate site lining, prepare construction document, blah, blah, blah. I understand the part. And the second is schematic design and construction permit document. So I was thinking, what does the schematic design mean? And I remember, I believe it was Calvin Giordano that came with the first proposal. People came back and forth in terms of whether they agreed or not with the lighting project. I didn't see it included. I do 100% agree with moving forward with what we need to get done for the village. I just don't know, and anybody, that just recently moved, I would know what that looks like. So if I just bought a house behind us, am I going to have a light reflecting right into my house? How would they know in order to come here today and say, I don't agree with this? You understand what I'm saying?
Mr. Mayor, can I answer? So this has to come back before you to award a contract, and the design will be in that contract, and all the how many poles are going to be in, and where the lights going up or going down. So that's will have to come back to you for another process to be awarded a contract.
The design would have to come
Yes,
back and
yes.
redone
Yes.
in order for
These-
people will have the opportunity to say that and have a say in us to
Yes, this is just,
send. This is
these are just the conceptual drawings. This is just the, for permitting purposes. And then we'll use that to go out to bid for the process. And then that would have to come back to you to award the bid, and the design will be in that bid.
So if there's change in the design, and they've already, you know what I'm saying? Do you guys follow what I'm
Yeah, I think,
put together? Like if there's changes in the midst of the permitting process that we're going to pay $27,000 or whatever that is, they're going to come back with all the plans as to, this all the permittings you need to move forward with. And then we're going to come back approved, and people are going to be about what? Oh, no, it's about something that we passed 2 years ago. That's what I'm trying to establish. Or at that time is our opportunity to say, does anybody else have something to say? And we can change it, and that is money.
well, the way that I understand how this is working is there's a project in place where we have to provide additional lighting based on the site, this site area. But I think it's a phased approach that right now what we're approving is design and construction for permitting and running of electrical lines. But the actual design of the lights themselves, and whether that's, I remember this, we had this discussion a couple of years ago
Yes.
where we talked about, certain lights are this high and they point only at the ground, or certain lights are this high. And I remember having discussions in 2023 with Florida Fish and Wildlife about certain lights that are more wildlife friendly versus traditional lights.
Yeah.
So if I'm understanding the manager correctly, this isn't for the actual, this is the placement of the lights and these are the lights that are going in, but this is for the build out. This is for the running of the electrical. This is to provide for to us, the village to get permits to put this in, and then the design with the actual light construction comes after this phase.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah, so there is a log cabin parking and ADA access. It's in option number 1. The Calvin and Giordano Associates had drafted that. And that was back in July of 2022, when that was done.
The conceptual design,
June-
the one that you,
June, a presentation was made to the Village Commission on June 7th, 2022.
Because, so you know, I'm going to put it in a perspective of a homeowner going through a construction and a renovation. You have a first design that said, this is how it's going to look like, and it looks beautiful, and that's what's Calvin Giordano. A lot of people had feedback. Then we move forward into, okay, we're ready to go with this. If we are, and that would be the first thing, we approved that, right? Was that approved, green lighted?
In 2022, I think that was the option one was the option that the commission had accepted at the time. Yes.
So, so that is sort of, that's the design you chose. Great, I like it. Let's go into permitting, which is where we're now. We're going to hire a company that's going to say, okay, let me draw, you know, grab pencil and pen and let me put it on a paper how it's going to look with the layers and all the specifics of, you know, voltage and whatever it might be. And then I'm going to go in through the permitting process. When we come back, we're going to have people say, but what do you mean that light is going to go there? And since 2022, I have no idea that that's happening. That's what I'm saying. I'm not in disagreement. I'm wondering if is there opportunity to defer this, to include that and have the ability to review if it was approved, which schematic design was approved, have people know exactly what we're approving it for, so they can come back and, you know, we can say everybody's aware that this is going to be installed where.
Mr. Mayor, if I will, I'm very familiar with this Calvin Giordano presentation from 2022.
okay?
There were two options, one being a more overhead lighting option, other one be a bollard lower style lighting. The bollard low style lighting did not qualify or not comply with Miami-Dade County Lighting Code, which we are currently not in compliance with. In 30 minutes when it's dark out there, we'll be not in compliance of lighting code for an open public building. So we're kind of limited with what we can do. And that was the sentiment of Calvin Giordano back in 2022, or yes. And so we're kind of limited. I 100% agree with you that we should be transparent to the residents who live around here, and we should maybe host a town hall and show them what we're working towards. Maybe once we have more drawings from Chisholm, but right now, what we were presented in 2022 is just basically like you described, this is what your project could look like, but we don't have many options. There's only a couple ways to light an area when it comes to actually selecting the types of lights, the color and things like that.
Yeah.
That can obviously have lots of public input, but as far as what Miami-Dade County code is asking for, we're pretty limited with what we can do. We have to light the area if we want to be in compliance with that code, which we should, which this was a goal of this commission for probably the last decade. So for me, I'm fully in support with moving this forward, because every night we host one of these meetings, we're at risk, and I'm tired of being at risk anymore. I want to move forward with solving this issue.
I agree. I think everything you said sounds great. My only concern, this was 2022. Again, our residence base changes constantly, especially since. And I would want, if this would have been included in the agenda today, I think we would have been okay to vote, because then anybody had the chance and opportunity to know exactly what we're moving forward with. People have no idea what, you know, again, I'm having a hard time understanding the schematic and permitting process of what. And I think anybody can relate if you live around, you know, you're not going to come understanding what that means for you. Had we put it in the agenda, I think it would have been clearer. So what I'm proposing is that I 100% agree. I want to move forward. This should have been tackled prior to 2026, as you heard. That was 4 years ago almost. To defer for next month and include all the documentation, make sure, again, to notice so that everybody can participate and we can vote. That would be my proposal. I'll make a motion to defer for next meeting.
Al, can I just very briefly, very quick, go ahead.
So, Mr. Mayor, if you approve this tonight, we can have Chisholm here next month. They can make a presentation about what was option number one, what it's about, and then so they can work on. This is holding up the roof. This is holding up the paving around the village hall. So this is very, you know, we are trying to do it, coordinate a bunch of balls in the air. This is one of the balls in the air. We have to, you know, get this done, get this design done so that the paving lady can go ahead and do do their repairs of the roads. This has to be done first. And this is not part of the state contract. We had to separate it out. So, you know, if I would suggest that it be approved tonight, and then we can ask Chisholm to come back in May and make a presentation about the line.
Yeah, I mean, since Vice Mayor has made a motion, I will, after, if we vote, you know, on it, we got to vote on how, I would make the motion. I agree with city manager. That's the motion I would make too. But we have an emotion already here, so we have to address this motion since the
I
Vice
com-
Mayor made it.
I completely agree, Commissioner Samari. I think that the manager's plan to approve this tonight and have Chisholm come back and give some public input is a great option, because as Chisholm is one of our agreed upon vendors from the vendor list, so it's not like the vendor is going to change, and we all agree that something needs to be done. So let's move this forward, have them come back, get resident input as they, because I'm sure it's going to take more than 1 month to design these documents, so they can have that resident input during a presentation.
But to be fair to the Vice Mayor, she made a motion, so we have to you know, vote on that
Right,
motion, and
yes,
then
we will.
I can adjust the other motion.
We will. I just have one question for Al. One question, Al. Very simple. Chisholm Architects. If we agree this, are they dropping, or is Chisholm Architect dropping any lights in the ground? No. Okay. All right. So I know, Vice Mayor, I know you had a motion, so I'll ask is there a second on the Vice Mayor's motion to defer to next month?
I actually will change my motion because
Okay.
that is a good medium point I wanted to get.
Okay.
To me, it was just transparency in terms of we can move forward to production or the floor before we know that everybody is on board. So I think having the vendor come forward, it's a great way to mediate that.
And
Okay.
then I second the motion.
Well, hold on. So are you withdrawing that motion then?
But I'll change the motion to
Okay.
approve
Okay.
as is,
Okay.
with the, you know, the idea that the vendor comes next month and gives a presentation of what the design would be.
Perfect. Okay.
Then
Do I have a second on the Vice Mayor's
Then I
motion?
second it.
Okay.
with the
All
changes.
in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, very good. All right, so that is the last of the resolutions. Now, John, please correct me if I'm wrong. The appointment of Ileana to our board. We're getting back to it now, I promise. Is that by resolution? It's on our resolution list.
No, I historically, you have made, or this commission has made appointments just by a voice vote.
Okay. So in that case, we'll make it even easier. We have the appointment to the Parks and Parkway Board. I'll just put it up to a voice vote to the commission. Can we do this by roll, or can we just do this by voice vote, John?
There would be a motion.
Okay.
Second, and then all in favor are.
Perfect. Okay, your mic is off.
My comment is, first off, I have nothing. My problem is we should have, the person that is on this board should have a tie and live in the village. To me, this will open up for anyone on the outside to join our boards, not knowing about the village and how it works. And we're not truly represent the village of Biscayne Park. That's my only concern that I have in reference to you being on the board. Because I lived on 121st Street on the Biscayne Park side. I wasn't on the other side. And to have people that are not living in a village to come in by having you on the board is going to be able to open it up to anybody in the future that is not a resident of Biscayne Park coming in. If I got to be a commissioner of Biscayne Park, I have to be a resident of Biscayne Park. So that's my only problem that I have with you being on the board. First off, I want to thank you for wanting to be on the board. I wish we can get a lot more people that live in the village to do it instead of outside people. But that's the biggest concern that I have. This is going to open up a can of worms. So I
So-
can't support this.
Ileana, I've read your resume, and I think that you're uniquely qualified to serve in this position, and you have the recommendation, the glowing recommendation of the chair of that board. The attorneys provided a cover memo to the commission that this board, the governing documents of this board allow for an appointment of a non-resident by supermajority. So that's why it's before the commission and wasn't on consent. So understanding that, I'll ask if there is a motion and a second to approve the appointment of Ileana to the Parks and Parkway Board.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I wanted to say thank you again. It's, they need you, we need you, and I appreciate your stepping forward from our neighbors, village and city in this case, yes.
If I can just say one thing,
Sure.
congratulations. And I do agree with Commissioner Samaria that this is an extreme measure, and there's a reason why the framers of our charter put this in as a supermajority, because it is a extreme measure to put someone not a resident into our board. And the only reason I would say is acceptable if someone has an exemplary resume, as this candidate does, being a research fellow, a PhD, her time in public affairs, her grant writing experience. That is what got me to vote yes. I was most likely a vote no until I read your resume. That's what gets me over the edge.
Your mic's off.
You could have somebody that is just as qualified her in the future doing the same thing. That's my biggest concern. She is well qualified, and you could have somebody in the outside that is the same qualified her that's going to apply for boards. That's my biggest concern.
I apologize, Mr. Mayor. Can I get this motion, the seconder, and the vote again?
Motion was made by Commissioner Gonzalez. The second was made by Vice Mayor. The vote was 4-1 with the only no being Commissioner Samaria.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And welcome you to the commission.
Thank you, Ileana. We appreciate you, your volunteering your time and your background to help us. Okay, so that concludes our resolutions. Let's move on to our ordinances, of which we only have one this evening since we moved 11B. Our first ordinance for the evening is the second read for ordinance 2026-01. John, would you please be so kind as to read the ordinance for us?
Yes, sir. This is ordinance 2026-01, entitled an ordinance of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Village of Biscayne Park to prohibit smoking and excessive idling of vehicles at city parks, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, providing for scrivener's errors, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. This is on second reading and for adoption.
Thank you very much, John. Do I have a motion and a second to approve?
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-01, clean air, prohibiting smoking in the village parks.
Second.
Okay, do we have any public comment on the second read of the ordinance before we move to discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none? Okay.
Public comment is in from the public? Us?
I'm sorry? Yeah, on ordinances, John, we provide an opportunity for additional public comment.
No smoking.
Thanks, John.
No fumar. Gracias.
Okay. All right. So at this point, we'll move to discussion. Is there any discussion or any questions about the second read of the ordinance from the commission at this time? Looking around, hearing none. Hearing none. Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Groff,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Amsler,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez, Commissioner Huntington,
Yes.
Commissioner Samara.
Yes.
The item is adopted 5-0 on second reading.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, having concluded our ordinances, we will move into our final section for the evening, which is discussion and new business. Our first item is discussion 12A, which is on the freebie item. And Mr. Manager, this is something that you brought to our attention. Would you like to introduce it for us, please?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, as the cover memo had provided information about our current freebie contract. We're on a month-to-month now. We're coming up for renewal on the with the state. I'm going to ask our Parks and Recreation Director, Isa Thornell, to come forward to talk about a little bit about the freebie program. And we've been operating this since 2021. He's very familiar with the program. And we had 2 discussions now with the transportation division within Miami-Dade County about the freebie program, about how that money could be used for other purposes. And also we had discussions about with CITT also about the freebie program, but I'll turn it over to Isa so he can provide more information.
Floor is yours, Isa.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners, residents. So yeah, the manager and I have been on a number of meetings and really doing our due diligence in regards to this to see what is the best route for the village to take going forward. As you described, our contract right now is on a month-to-month. We are due a renewal, and there are some parameters where we just want to make sure that we are crossing Ts and dotting Is to make sure that we're providing the best things for the village. Our main goal, obviously, and I think it's you all's goal as well, is that our roads need a ton of work. With the CITT money, we have a minimum amount that we can spend on transit, which is 20%. Maximum amount for transportation is 80%. Right now, we're spending approximately $120,000 a year on freebie. I think the number that really threw the manager and I was that in regards to how many riders we have per month, that comes out to about $25 per ride, where these rides are maxing out at maybe 1.2 miles. You can get an Uber probably to Aventura for $25. So we're really not maximizing the usage there in regards to money-wise. That those funds could be spent on roads to improve our roads and/or on smaller projects, so we wouldn't be spending as much as the money that we could be receiving for CITT, and then designate more of those funds towards roads. We met with a couple of representatives, Linda Morris from the Chief of Services of Planning and Scheduling for Miami-Dade for Transit, to kind of go over some ideas that we could bring to you all going forward of how we could spend that money if we did decide to cancel the freebie contract and still stay in compliance. They had canceled the one bus route with the better bus network system that we had going through Biscayne Park. They have now brought that 16 bus back. So it is returning to ride. It's the MetroLink. It's a smaller version of the big bus. But it is a continuous hourly route that is going through 6th Ave now. So that bus does exist again, where we had lost that before. We do have that public transportation coming back to the village. Well, it is active now. So we have opportunities there where we can use that 20% at its smallest fraction, maximizing the 80% for transportation to designate more toward road work, and create bus shelters, ADA walkways and landings where those bus stops are. I think with our meeting with Linda Morris the other day, we established that on each side of 6th Avenue, it's approximately a bus stop every 2 blocks. The only benches that exist right now are on 113th Street, on the west side, and then on 21st Street on the west and the east side. The other bus stops in that area do not have, they don't have sidewalks, but they also do not have benches. But we could look to possibly to use that 20% to create in those heavily trafficked areas like the one on 113th where the sidewalk already exists, establishing a shelter to help our residents who do catch that bus, protection from the sun, protection from the rain, and then also on the 121st side where we do get our heaviest traffic for those bus connections, establishing those there. We thought of a plan to maybe establish 2 of those units over the next 3 years, which would give us now 3 years. If we do that 2 every 3 years, it gives us 3 years to even get more creative of how to spend that 20%, but also use those 3 years to work on our roads and establish a lot of the roads that we know need to get work now, where we designate that 80% max that we can, to working on those roads. So we kind of wanted to bring this to you now as we are approaching a deadline to renew this contract. And also by regulations, we have to cancel within 30 days, 60 days, and also have a public notice. So if we are to cancel freebie before our ending in June with our FDOT contract, it would be the May meeting where we would need to decide by that. So we wanted to bring you this on this meeting so you all can have a discussion. We can go back to the drawing board if needed to find other options and ways to use the money and/or establish a new contract with freebie if that's what the direction you all want to go. But this was the best time to give us the proper time that if we do want to cancel, we would be in compliance with that. So that's kind of the overview there.
Sorry, didn't mean to
Oh, of
interrupt.
course.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Issa. So just so I'm understanding or communicating what it is that you and the manager are asking the commission is, this is basically consent of the commission for you and the manager to explore and propose alternative ways to spend that money, not to cancel freebie. Maybe part of that is to explore alternative transportation solutions, paving, just other ways that we can spend
Absolutely.
the money and not necessarily cancel it. Because I know we've talked about this in the past, is potentially expanding the service areas of freebie. I know they've been hesitant to do that, but this might put it on them to say, well, if we're considering not renewing the contract, maybe you're considering expanding the area, maybe we make it more valuable. So this is more of the direction of the commission to say, could you present us with proposals on how we can spend that money in alternative ways for the betterment of the community?
Correct.
Okay, understood. All right, are there any questions for Easter, for the manager on this item? Your microphone's off.
Just what the mayor said, but I think the only way I would want Freebie to stay is if they're gonna extend the area. I mean, it's ridiculous that we don't go to, Freebie does not go to, where the post office is. That's where a lot of people goes. It only goes short distance. I would rather see the money spent. If they're gonna agree to extend it, then I would rather see the money be spent elsewhere. As long as we follow whatever it is, the 20% that we have to have for transportation.
And part of Freebie's hesitancy in extending it is, as of right now, they feel like they have extended it because the places they reach are out of our district. Whereas, and we only have one vehicle. So even if you maximize your ride, which would say the max distance right now, you can go to the plaza on 125th, which is technically North Miami. That's for shopping. Whole Foods, that's one of our busiest drop-off spots. Their argument now is that that's a link to public transportation, but it's also a link to the North Miami Freebie.
Yes.
And NMB also has Freebie, and Aventura has Freebie. So obviously, that would be a long ride for any of our residents to have to wait for those Freebie connects. But also their argument is that we're linking you to places where you can catch alternative rides. So me and the manager joke that they go to one Publix, but they don't go to the Miami Shores Publix. So if that's your Publix of choice, they don't offer that one, but they say, hey, we offer to go to this one. We offer to go to Whole Foods. The other busiest spot right now is the Aldi's shopping center, which again, it's on Biscayne. Their argument there is that it connects to public transportation. And then anywhere on 121st, 125th, where you can again connect to public transportation.
See,
We want to push the button on them. Obviously, if they could extend it, that would definitely benefit our residents. The only problem with extending it is we only have one vehicle. So the more you extend it, the longer the wait time will be. So we have one vehicle to extend to. We've asked for more vehicles. To get more vehicles would drastically increase our price.
But I think the amount of ridership just, I think, proves the point that it's really not supported by this, by this village. I mean, just the amount of ridership. If there was a lot of ridership, then I would say, okay, there's a support for it. But I don't, if they're not going to extend it, I don't see that there's a amount of ridership that justifies the amount of money that we're spending. I would rather see the money be spent on roads and other projects, or even other transportation that you guys can come up with. I just think that, to me, it's not enough ridership, and I just wouldn't want them to be staying with us.
So I want to thank the manager and Issa for bringing this. I didn't even think this was an issue until it was brought to my attention. And I did the research myself, verified a lot of these things. ECU took a lot of my talking points right out. Yes, we're on average $25, sometimes all the way up to $40 a month or per ride, depending on the ridership is low. And then I independently verified, looking at Uber, Lyft, and now Waymo, it's a new robo-taxi that's in the area. Those trips through even the farthest point to Biscayne Park to the farthest service delivery area is like a $10 Uber. So we're paying someplace like 2.5 to 4 times the market rate for this ride. And looking at 300 rides, we're over 3,000 residents, you're talking about 10% of our community. But let's think of the nature of this service. It's a ride there and a ride back. So cut that in half. It's actually about 5% of our community. And then when you look at 36% of our community, it has children under 9 and under, and Freebie does not supply car seats. That cuts into the population that can use this. 100% of our population drives on roads or uses a road for a bike or walks their dog on it. To me, it's a no-brainer. This service is not being used to the best of its ability. I wish it was, but it's not. So I would like to see other options. I'm fully in support of seeing other options and other options for transit for residents as well, because and I know that Miami-Dade County utilize a Uber voucher system for a while to fill in transit needs. And if you just instituted a $3,000 a month voucher system for Ubers, that would come in the 20%, and be far less than $120,000 utilizing the same usage we're using right now. So I would love to see different options for spending this money much more prudently than we're spending right now.
And especially, thank you, Commissioner, for bringing up, I don't use Uber because I have a vehicle, but thank you for bringing up about the car seat. To me, that's a, we have a lot of people that have kids. That's, to me, is a reason not to keep it if they're not going to supply car seats. Because even when you have, I think Uber, sometimes you have to have a car seat in there, if I'm correct. What Uber does require.
Uber supplies a car seat.
Yeah, they supply the, thank you. They
And
supply a car seat, so.
Another point I meant to mention as well is the cancellation rate in the last quarterly statement for freebie was 30%. So 30% of people requesting a freebie decided the service was taking too long and canceled the service. That's a glaring number for me as well. 30% is pretty high in cancellation rate.
Are there any other questions for the manager or Issa?
Thank you. Both of you did a good job on this the research, because as the Commissioner says, I didn't know about a lot of this stuff because I don't use it. Thank you.
So thank you. Yes, I think, so I'm going to the recommendation. The village manager office recommended the mayor and village commission allow the village manager office to continue to explore the best use of CITT funding that may include the elimination of the freebie services, 100%. I mean, you want to keep exploring what we can do better with the money? You don't need permission for that. Go ahead, please. I mean, I think I want to clarify that the objective of this point, if I understand correctly, is just to ask the question, are we spending the money correctly, right?
Right.
Not to get rid of the service. So we're just saying, are there other ways in which we can utilize this better? If there is a proposal, we need to look into that. Absolutely. At any time, that is always going to be welcome, at least on my end. One thing I just want to make sure I just throw out there. I don't think this is a very straightforward apples to apples comparison on how much does an Uber cost versus what we spend. We're public service. We spend taxes in different ways. There's people don't have kids, don't never go to the park, you never see. There's people there in their homes that really need the service, right? So not every service is going to be distributed equally, and it's a straightforward mathematical equation. So I think we need to be mindful of that. That would be my thing to throw in there when you're looking into what other things can be done. I know the service has been very welcome. To your point on the time, I've used the service. Time is an issue. I'm the one that canceled because it hasn't come for 35 minutes, right? So now, hello, it's me, but there might be someone that really depends on that Uber to go to Publix. So I just want to just throw out there, it's not just a one-on-one comparison of costs. I would love to see what can we do. First, we need to understand who's using it, right? There was an issue with the data. Apparently, I read that from the manager's feedback to one of the residents. They're counted 3 times instead of 1 because, however the data is analyzed, that needs to be looked into as well. So I think more you know about who uses it, better we'll be able to identify what else can we do for them. While, of course, that's, moving money towards roads if we can, all the issues we already know we have. So that would be my feedback. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Manager, it sounds like you have support from the commission to go forward with the alternative proposals to see what we could do with that money. And, keeping an eye on potential public transportation assistance for the community. And maybe Freebie will work with us. So do we have a consensus from the commission to have the manager and Issa make a proposal at the May?
Right, so we would need, if there's consensus, to have us come back and put a resolution on the May agenda for cancellation and to look at the other alternatives. We would have to, and from now until May, we would explore trying to get the number of riderships, how many people are actually using it, who those people are, trying to notify them that there is a possibility in May that it will be canceled, and that we are exploring these other uses of that money.
Right, so the resolution being effective as of May because we need to cancel 60 days, or 60 days out or 30 days out? I thought we
30
said
days out.
30
This
days
gives us-
out.
The
This gives
contract-
us the 60 days bringing it to you now, so then at the next meeting, it will be.
It's a 30-day
days, correct?
termination notice.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
30-day termination. notice. So the resolution would have to be passed and effective 30 days prior to cancellation. So we'll put the resolution on there. It will be included with the backup from you, Al, and Isa, on how you would propose to use those funds. And at that time, the commission will decide whether to go with one of those alternative proposals or to cancel freebie. So we're not making that decision even this evening. We'll see that in May.
Correct.
You guys mentioned that this contract is month to month, right? So that means that it automatically renews month to month. There, I mean, whether you have a extended contract or you don't have an extended contract, we're basically month to month. So we can continue this month to month thing for as long as, basically as long as we want, or as long as they don't come back to us and say, hey, you know, we in order for us to continue, we need a contract, right? Or because, go ahead, what were you gonna say?
So,
The state is asking us, Commissioner, to enter into a contract. So they
asking?
won't, the state,
Oh, the state is out.
yes.
Right.
So they're providing the funding. They want a current contract, so,
Got it. Okay.
so.
That contract would be terminable, or either party can terminate that contract with 30 days notice, which is why it's essentially month to
I think you
month.
said 60, right?
no, the 60 was this, so we're bringing it to you this month, so we have a month to bring you whatever you wanted for the May meeting. So then at the May meeting, if we do cancel it, now we have the 30 days. Because June is the end.
Is there a clause to Commissioner Gonzalez point, maybe to extend it, to ask for an extension in case we need it? I mean, I'm just asking, in your end, you're gonna have a month now to go and figure out what we're gonna do with this money in a plan B. And sort of put all those numbers together, which seems to me a rush. Just on the safe area, is there an opportunity in the contract that allows us to extend and just pay the 10 grand, or there isn't?
I think we're at the point of extension, doing the month to month, because they want an active contract. Now, we should have an active contract per our agreement with the state. So the month to month has been us trying to first negotiate a lower price and find comparable rates to other municipalities that have. We're very special in regards to our demographics. So even finding comparable contracts has been a chore, and even for freebie. And then at the end of the day, I think we're at the bottom of freebie's totem pole in regards to our little 10 grand is a drop in the bucket for them. So even going through the triennial review and things like that, it's been almost pulling teeth in that regards to getting those information and those corrected numbers that we need, because I just think we're low on the totem pole to them. So that's been difficult in itself, knowing that we're such a small staff, and it's between me and the manager literally ringing them off the hook to get some of this stuff done, and even the contract. So that's why we're kind of bringing it to you now, because in addition to the 10 grand we pay every month, there is also the manpower that goes into making sure they're staying above, because all of those reports for CITT, 5-year plan, all of those things that go into that are also part of that agreement.
But
with
even if we
Freebie.
have a signed agreement, we have a 30-day out anyway, right? It's a 30-day out. Whether we sign an agreement or not, we still have an out.
Well, I don't know that that provision actually exists. I just made an assumption because.
Well, in most contracts, there's an out. There's an out clause, and most of the times it's 30 days, sometimes it's 60, but.
Right.
And it's usually for both parties. Either party has the right to get out of a contract. So I guess that would be the only question that I have is what is the out clause on if we do sign a new agreement with them? If it's 30 days, it's 30 days. It's not a big deal. Is what it is.
So, Commissioner, there's an ILA agreement also with the Miami-Dade County. So if we terminate the freebie contract, utilizing that 30-day out, the ILA and agreement with the county involves some penalties.
Really?
Which we can avoid if we cancel in advance of the June deadline.
Yes, of course.
What penalties are we talking about here?
I just read it, briefly. I will have to review that and get that to you.
We have an ILA with Freebie?
With Miami-Dade County.
Yeah.
Or a transportation service. You have to agree to with Miami-Dade County.
Yeah, I guess you have to agree with them for everything, right?
So, Mr. Manager and Isa, if that can be part of what we're being provided in May, I think that would be helpful, because we certainly want to have all the information before we make a decision on freebie. Since understanding it's expensive based on ridership. There's still a service it provides for a demographic here,
Right.
which I wouldn't want to just offhandedly terminate, without an alternative.
There's a lot of missing data, in my opinion here. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I would need to know to understand as far as the ridership is concerned. And I know that we talked about, them counting people 2, 3 times, same household, right? Because I could imagine it's probably the same houses that use that use the service. So they count them a lot, right? But it's still a service that we've been providing for the last 4 years.
Mm.
So when you give somebody something for free and then you want to take it away, it's always a problem, right? That's why you should never give nothing for free ever. You got to charge, even if it's $1, charge $1, right? But anyway, the point is that now we have people that are dependent or semi-dependent or fully dependent. I have no idea, and so in order for me to even start contemplating this, I would need a lot of that information.
Is that something you foresee being able to provide to us in May in a 30-day period?
Yeah, I mean, those numbers obviously are gonna have to come for freebie. We
Yeah.
don't calculate, we go off the reports they send us in detail, and if they have dropped the ball in a sense on some of that data,
Do those
but we'll
reports
be
have
on it.
addresses? Or
No,
They don't have
No.
addresses, so you have no idea.
there's basically a hot zone map where it just shows you the peak areas that are getting it, but no direct addresses.
Then if we're presented with this information in May, we don't feel as a commission that we have sufficient information to cancel the agreement, then we don't cancel the agreement.
Well, also, I think part of the information should be presented to us in May is what a new contract from Freebie would look like, because as this contract is from 2021, I'm sure their costs have gone up. I'm sure 120,000 is not what they would renew for. They'd probably ask for an increase. I mean, everything's gone up since 2021.
Mm.
So that could change this negotiation as well. If they're asking for 10, 20, 30% more, that could change the sentiment and we're not seeing an increase in ridership or increase in service delivery area, that could change the conversation as well.
Certainly.
I know, I know this is probably impossible, but if there's any way that we can have somebody from Freebie come and talk, and they can,
Sure.
it can answer, I think that would be having it right from, as they say, the horse's mouth.
Absolutely.
Would be something, I think we can get somebody to come, I think that'd be really big.
That's a good idea.
Would it be a freebie though?
Well,
Okay. So do we have consensus then from the commission to move forward with having the manager and ISA present us with the alternatives at the May meeting?
yes.
Okay. All right. We'll look forward to it. Isa, thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Manager, Thank you. All right.
Jazz in the Park, Saturday,
As a part- is that a
6 to 9:30.
Plug. Okay. All right, so our next discussion item is 12B, and this is Commissioner Huntington's item. Would you like to introduce it for us, Commissioner?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I put an item on for discussion this month from referencing our strategic planning session in February, where we talked about pedestrian projects, increasing the walkability of the village. I levied an option of converting our alleyways to linear parks or walkways, recreational trails. Commissioner Amesler brought up the idea of putting walkways through our larger medians, some of our better used medians. I think both are great options. I want to continue that conversation. I shared with the manager yesterday a potential funding option with the Florida Recreational Trails Program that it will be opening up soon. Will be open till the end of May. So it's prime time to have this discussion, have a town hall with the residents and get their input on it. But it's the opportunity's there, the funding's there, and I think we should continue the conversation. The funding source has very similar to FERDAP, has a 50-50, an 80-20. So we could look at low cost, smaller project with great impact to our residents. So I think it's something we should continue to talk about and see what next steps are from the manager as far as honing in on a possible location with our consult with our grant writer as to if that timeline is feasible to have an application out by the end of May, and just continue liaison with the residents as well. Maybe host a town hall to get their input of where they would like to see a project like this put in.
So can I just ask you, I appreciate it, thank you. Can I just ask you what you envision as being the next step? Is it scheduling a town hall? Is it outreach? I mean, how do you see advancing this item?
That's how I see it. I see it maybe work with have the manager present us with maybe two options at a town hall as to where a walkway could go, where a linear park could go, that would work into the grants that's going to be opening soon's, their requirements. So that way we can get resident feedback as to which kind of project they would like to see. Recreational trail, exercise trail, all these are being used by, or being developed by this grant. And it all centers around walking, biking, moving people around in a non-motorized fashion, and it's state funded. So that's how I envisioned it. Talk with it as we talk in this dais, identifying 2 locations, maybe 1 walkway, 1 linear park, and present them in the town hall. And let's see if residents come out and give their opinions.
Okay, so Al, having heard that recommendation from the commissioner, how would you foresee as a manager, how would you kind of foresee as presenting this to the commission for resident input?
So yeah, I did get the email from the commissioner, and I had forwarded to our grant writer for them to review the grant proposal and what we would have to do to submit the application. I read it was a 50-50, it was 80-20 or 60-40. And we would just have to, I guess, we haven't talked to anybody about a design and what the cost would be or how extensive it would be. And I don't, I would have to explore some locations within the village or get with Commissioner Huntington to explore some locations where we would have these trails and then go from there.
Okay. Okay, I mean, I'll just ask if the commission has any input on the item that the commissioner has introduced and the manager has provided input on. Is anyone, I guess, does anyone oppose it? Because I certainly don't see any danger in exploring the idea.
No, I don't have a problem. I definitely would like to explore it. So I agree with you 100%. I don't have anything. I don't see any really negative. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see any negative of what your proposal is about. So I'd like for the city manager to look into it and then bring it back to the commission and we can discuss it more. But again, thank you for bringing that up because it is very good.
Yeah, so yes, I am, as you know, so I'm all on board. Maybe can count 2 people of everybody I've spoken to that this would not be okay with. Majority of the people I've spoken to is they want a place where they can walk safe. How that looks like, the whole back and forth of whether sidewalks are available for us or not, that's not the point. Is what options do we have? So I'm 100% on board on starting the conversation finally as to action. Where I'm a little stuck is what would we ask or tell people at this stage? I think there's a lot of homework prior for us to do in order to have people understand what the opportunities are. Because this could be very big, or it could be nothing, because we have not a lot of money. I'm going to just throw it out there because I think this is one of the things the administration can use, but it's public record. You can just go and look into what a trail costs by the square footage. And then you can calculate more or less. So you can bring some scenarios to the table and then considerations for grants or, appropriations, whatever monies we're able to get. I would just be cautious of what we are promising. That's all, because I don't know, in all the years I've been trying to move this forward. When we talk about, again, the idea, I think the concept was sidewalks and it was a lot of pushback. I think now we understand there are other options, right? So 100% on board, exploring it, having some more concrete information to share when the time is appropriate.
That's a great point, Commissioner. The specific grant that I forwarded to the manager actually breaks down projects every year, award lists, and has description of the trails, how wide, how long, and also includes design build. So we're not funding the design. It would almost be a project where if we don't get the grant, we don't do anything at all.
Yes.
Those are all open public documents where we can kind of steer our decisions. The good thing is I think we have no shortage of locations. There's plenty of great medians. There's plenty of nice alleys. I envision this as starting small. Let's just get one win under our belt, get a small little walkway done, and then take small bites of the apple every year, not make a huge project out of this. I think a small walkway here, small walkway there will make a huge difference if we continue and go forward, especially with the 80-20. I mean, communities are investing $20,000, getting the rest funded from the state to a $150,000 project, and they're getting a trail,
Yeah.
you know, a exercise trail, recreational trail, jogging path, things like that. No, they don't do pickleball course. So I think that these are small wins that some low budget impact can be a huge plus for our community.
Now,
Yeah.
yeah, now, these grants that we can get, is it gonna be matching grants that we have to match it? Okay, that's,
Sounds like you've got some consensus here, Commissioner. So I guess the the consensus of the commission would be to have you to continue to work with the manager on identifying some sites, kind of scoping out high-level views of what cost would look like. And then take those proposals, then figure out how we can go to the community to see if it's something that they want to continue with. Does that encapsulate what you're asking us?
That'd be fine with me. You know, I'd gladly host the town hall when the time comes. I would invite Commissioner Amesler if she would like to, since this was part of her idea as well as the walkways, to join me in hosting the town hall. And, you know, hopefully residents will come out and voice their opinion.
and it's also gonna be asking residents that are in that area if it's gonna bother them. Okay.
Okay, great. So sounds like you have consensus of the commission to do as you asked. Thank you both for putting it on there. Well, for Ryan for putting it on there, and Veronica, I know you've been talking about it for a long time as well, so thank you both. All right, so the last item that we have for discussion this evening is item C. Vice Mayor, this is your item. Would you like to introduce it for us?
Yes, thank you. So just wanted to bring forward opportunity same to clarify some doubts that are going around as to what are we planning to do related to the tree replacement plan, what grants are available to us, which ones have been awarded, timeline, areas affected by it, etc. I think there is a lot of questions back and forth on this, and I figured this was the right approach to bring it forward to clarify. So some of the discussion points I wanted to have. And in summary, the question number one that comes up is, what's the big picture? And I think it's a very fair question. So I'm going to go over a little bit of background for whoever might listen that don't have it. But a year ago, some trees came down. That was a big opportunity for residents that came forward and said, you know, that needs to have a plan in place to replace those trees. Obviously, moved a lot of people and had a lot of controversy about whether they needed to be removed. That's not the point. I think we're past far that is what's the big picture and what are we sort of stepping as number 1, 2, 3, and 4 to finalize this reforestation strategy. So one of the thing is we have several tree grants and we have several projects on how we are tackling. So I wanted to ask the manager if you can give a brief description, Albert, about the grants we currently have approved and sort of the budget we have at hand to start thinking about planting, and provided those trees have been removed, phase 1, Australian pines, phase 2, the ones we recently saw come out. And what's next? Because I think the other question is, so is this an ongoing thing? So are we going through every corner of the village and deciding when these things come off? You know, because they look bad. So we call the arborist. When do we call the arborist? Can, you know, can a person, a resident do that? Like we saw today was an approval of money that went forward to a resident who said there's a dead tree. I need you guys to take care of it. So if there is you know, a recourse for people to do that, do we communicate where the money comes from? Again, I think it's a very big, the question being, what's the overall plan when we look at the tree situation in the village? So Albert, if you can just as a intro to this, provide a step as to clarity as to how many grants have been awarded, and what is the timeline considered for each that we have, you know, again, and then we can talk about what's next.
Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Yes.
So there's 2 grants that have been awarded. You have approved both those grants. Both those grants have come before this commission for approval. The first grant was the Steinberg grant for $25,000.
Right.
You had an item on the agenda tonight to rank the vendors who had submitted a request for the installation of those trees for that grant. We'll be matching that grant with another $25,000. The second grant has been awarded, also that you approved, and that was approximately $24,750. That's from the state with federal money. We're matching, that's a matching grant. We have to match that with another $24,750. That grant, everything has to be completed by June. I told somebody today it was June of next year, 2027. Everything, all trees have to be completed, all the paperwork has to be completed in that timeline. In the first grant, there is no timelines, but we have already received the $25,000. The second grant is a reimbursable grant, as we have to submit our expenses and the paperwork, and then we're reimbursed for that.
Okay, thank you. We're talking about, is it around $100,000 that's going to go into this?
25 and 25 plus our matching, it adds up to $100,000, yes.
Right, so, and there is already identified, is John on the line, by the way? I don't know if he's still with us. I know it's late. Okay.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
All right, thank you so much for staying until so late. So I know that the board already put together a plan, and the plan had a lot of involvement from residents and going through different areas and identifying some trees that needed replacement. Arborists came on board and did that work. So we have already a list to move forward and go and buy with this money, especially Commissioner Steinberg, since we're ready to, after today, to operate with a vendor, right? And go and ask for, in this list, to go ahead and start planting. I guess the question is, Jesus, how do you call it? Sorry, I drew a blank. On the minutes, sorry, for the Parks and Parkways Board. And, you know, and it was mentioned there, there is a plan to continue to remove trees. And I think when we talk about there is a plan to continue to remove tree, that sort of sounds an alert of what that means. So I wanted, John, if you can give a little bit of a background as to what that is about, like what is the next step? So, because we did 3 walks and identify certain things, and, you know, and so when we think about there's more work to do, are we talking about different walks that are going to happen from different areas in the village where people can also participate? So are we exploring, proactively looking to remove trees that we see are bad? And the question that comes with that is, are we outpacing the removals versus what we get? So if you guys understand that, that's where it's coming from, is do we not have a plan and we have an arborist going around the village saying this tree needs to go, and that's going to happen with every corner? Is that the plan? I'm asking to give visibility.
My take on it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead. And it's sorry, I posted the question on the minutes because that was addressed specifically by residents. Are we talking we're going to continue to remove, right? I just wanted to touch on that. And then the rest, John, was also for the rest of the commission to engage.
Oh, yeah. Okay. My take on it, and I feel like I'm somewhat on the sidelines on this, even though I'm on the board. I am not. I've come to discover that I am much more, as you can see over my left shoulder, an arts and culture guy. Really looking forward to Jazz Fest this week. I'm not much of a tree person. But I am glad that you approved Liana tonight. I'm glad that Anna and Andrea and Juan are. And I've been involved in those discussions, and I more or less agree with everything they say. And if you'd left it to me, you would have slash pines everywhere, because I love slash pines, and I don't mind the
the overkill. But my take on the team's approach is that it's kind of, we're not going to eat the elephant all at once, that we're going to have to do this in bites. And clearly the priority was on areas where the Australian pines came down because that was a drastic measure. But I think as part of that process, as dead trees are identified, they are added to the document that we're using to track all of this. And obviously that's shared with the village manager, who's been, crucial in helping keep us moving, keep us moving along. And I guess I'm not entirely sure. That's the dead tree. I guess what I would be saying is that the dead trees that we identify, it's incidental. It's not like we went out looking to find things. In fact, one of the things tonight was 119th Street. I'm racking my brain. I don't know where it is. I'd probably have to drive by it again. I've probably driven by it 1,000 times or ridden by it on my bike. And so that wasn't necessarily in our purview setting out. It's just it's just incidental, found benefit, I guess, of us doing these walks. I hope that answers, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and so that's why I wanted to bring it. For me, this is and a question to the administration in terms of, we have a certain amount of money. How do we envision, and of course, this is in correlation with the board, because we rely on the board for advice and for counseling on this to the commission, right? So you come forward and you can say, we think we're going to divide the village in 3 parts, and every year we're going to attack one. I don't know, I'm making this up now.
Yeah,
But
that's
whatever the plan might be. It seems now it's a little bit all over the place, and I'm talking about implementation when it comes, a resident just mentioned we need to remove a tree, which, if it's dead and it's dangerous, we have to. If there is an arborist stating that we have to. But then we have county come in, and we're talking about Australian pines, but we put our arborists to do the check on those. So that's a question, that came up. Albert, what are we using our arborists for county trees? And shouldn't that be something that falls within the county spend? You hear? For the county trees.
that question is
Like,
for the village manager, right?
what's the process? So we
Yes.
call our arborist, we pay for it, and then we tell the county, but you need to take it out. Why wouldn't the county be the one paying for the arborist, for example?
Commissioner, that was the procedure that you requested.
What do you mean?
You requested for any tree removal that there be an arborist report for that tree removal.
No, that wasn't my question. My question is, why is this arborist paid of our pocket when this is county trees? So the Australian, so again, as you can see, there's several parts into this. As the Australian pines, they're already left, and we're ready to maybe execute within the next year. That was a concern, why it's taking so long. Well, there is a process of bidding, there is a process of actually implementing. Okay. The second is there's Australian pines that have been, recently put through an arborist that we pay, correct me if I'm wrong, with the budget from the village that exists on medians that belong or, property from the county to maintain. So the question is, why are we sending this arborist over there with our money instead of calling the county to assess the health of these trees? And so why are we proactively moving to do this?
The road is located within the village of Biscayne Park. It's just like the road of 121st Street. So we used an arborist to report on those Australian pines on 121st Street. We used an arborist also on Griffin. And then the county came out, looked at his report, and reviewed that report and made a visual inspection, and then decided to go forward.
Yeah, they came because we call them. So my question was more on the spend that should have been, for what I understand, part of the county's job. We can flag a tree. We say we need maybe for them to come and.
Commissioner, that was within my authority, and that was my decision to make that decision.
Oh, I understand, and it's all within your authority, Albert. I'm not doubting your authority in any way. I'm just wondering if there is an opportunity for this spend because it's coming out of the village money when it could be through the county because this belongs to them. And so again, I wanted to bring it forward because it seems to be a little bit all over the place. My proposal for you guys tonight was if you stand behind the fact that we need a proper plan. And we've been talking about the Australia replacement plan that started last year, and sort of that kicked out a several review on other trees, and now it's landed us on county territory out of our budget. So I don't see the plan clearly. I think I understand the concerns, and again, I have data the villagers don't. So if they come to me with questions, I can tell them that we have certain amount of bids active, that we have a plan, and Parks and Parkways has already identified a certain amount of trees. But the question remains as to, so what's next? Or should I worry about my tree? Should I place, if it looks dead, should I call also for it to be removed? Or are you going to be my corner? And when are you going to replace it? And whose corner is going to be next? So I think that just, to me, calls for the opportunity to establish a plan that's clearly identified for anybody to come forward and ask questions about and understand. Again, John, my idea of dividing the village in 3 parts, it comes out just so that people know that their corner are going to be affected and by when. This excludes in every way those are emergency. But the question is, how do you know they're emergency? Is it that we're going through every tree, knocking them to identify? So again, I wanted to give light to a lot of the questions residents have first. This has been an ongoing topic for over a year, and we're talking about planting in another year potentially. So give visibility and see if there is an opportunity to really put together a plan that is clear to share with everybody. And, hear your thoughts.
I'm sorry, do you have like a plan in mind that you have?
So I have ideas, like I just threw one out, again, we have a board who's working already in certain ways to move forward wish lists. But I don't understand those pieces are together. And I have a hard time answering. So are you guys going to go and check on my tree? I don't know. Do you need to? Well, if I do, who do I call? Who do I call for my tree? Because so is it becoming a thing that we're going to check the trees all over the village or not? And whereas it's a very clear, it's going to take a year on the Australian pines. We have that feedback already. It's going to be 3 months of the ones identified, and we stop unless you call us for a dead tree. And unless you call us because there's a branch about to fall, Public Works goes in and takes care of it. We're not going to continue to check health and pain and arborist on every village tree to tell us how it is. Or yes, I don't know. I don't know. To your point, I don't have the plan. No, I have ideas that I could want to just share. It's not my job, to come with a plan. It's my job to make sure I assess that there is a concern, and the concern is we don't know what's happening. So I just wanted to give opportunity to clarify. And
So I think
go ahead.
I think we're kind of in the reactionary phase of this right now. Australian pines were an urgency. We identified more Australian pines that are also dangerous. Other trees that residents have reported to us. I mean, the evidence is out there as you see arborist report after arborist report of trees that are diseased, dying, decaying, that there's a declining health in some of our trees. And we are finding them, we're reacting to them, we're removing them, and we're reforesting with the grants that we have. That's just reactionary, replacing what is diseased and dying. I definitely think a plan would be in place to elevate that to the next level. I know I've sat in on Parks and Parkway boards where they've discussed that. I know that's a major resident concern is the cutting over the medians, driving over the medians. How do you stop that? I know that's part of your item is suggesting putting 4x4s, things like that, which are probably not aesthetically pleasing. I know I've heard the Parks and Parkway, I don't want to speak for them, but I know I've heard them say they don't think those are aesthetically pleasing either. They would like to see our medians elevated to another level, understory grasses,
yes,
small shrubs, things like that. That is getting into we're fine toothing, we're polishing this marble face. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're approaching it. And I think we should start developing those plans. So when we get there, when we say, okay, we've done the sweep of the entire village, all the trees that are diseased, dying, and decaying are removed. We start to reforest them. Now we can start talking about polishing. It's removing, the random palm that someone planted 20 years ago and has now turned into
Mess,
kerfuffle.
which we've seen in the walks and people identify.
And that's honing into a beautiful design. I think that's where you want to go. It's where I want to go. That's where this commission wants to. And I think that's a great use of maybe a joint session with our Parks and Parkway Board to discuss next steps of that plan. I think probably the first jumping off point is we got to hear from the manager that we've finished that sweep of the village and we've removed what we think is everything. Obviously, we're always going to be reactionary. Someone could find a tree tomorrow or the next week or whatever. We're always going to be reactionary. And I encourage every resident, if they have concern about a tree, to report it to the manager, report it to Public Works, to get it inspected, because I would hate for anybody to get injured by a decaying, dying tree. And then,
Come at step one of what you just said, which is the plan,
Yeah. and well, that has to always be ongoing. We always have to be reactionary to trees that might be decaying and dying, because as you see of how many have been removed, there was a considerable amount of time in this village that those trees didn't happen overnight. There's a considerable amount of time in this village where they weren't being looked at, or they were being looked at. I'm sure they were being looked at by John, and he wasn't being listened to. And so now he's being listened to. Now we're doing the prudent thing of removing them and the prudent thing of replanting. And thank goodness the grant funds are coming in so we can walk and chew bubble gum. And I know that that's what the Parks and Parkway Board has done. They've strategically planned the Steinberg grant and the state grant to work together, even though they're two different grants.
Yeah.
So it's one cook cooking two meals. But that's the next step. The polishing this marble into a beautiful, fine thing is sitting down with the Parks and Parkways. What is your vision? What is the commission's vision? And then once we have that plan, then it's going out to funding and find the funding for it. Because there's funding for trees. I don't know if there's funding for shrubs. I would love to see that there is. But that's where I think where we're at. To me, it looks like we're still reactionary. We're still removing what's dead, replacing it as grants come in, getting through that process. And then once that's done, then we can start talking about, let's polish this. Let's bring in designers. Let's have someone design it, whatever it is.
So that point, thank you. So that point, Mr. Manager, so is the idea to continue doing this reactionary approach across the village and identifying with the arborist what trees are dead and continue to do that work along the year?
Commissioner, through the mayor, Commissioner, to answer your question, I think it's very important that we have a canopy that's well maintained. And I think Commissioner Gonzalez the other day said we've have a canopy that for many years was neglected and wasn't being taken care of. And I think Commissioner Huntington just reiterated that fact. And we need to educate our residents, and that they shouldn't be parking on the medians, and they shouldn't be driving over the medians. And if they see that, to contact code or contact the police department to take action against that, and to maintain our mediums in a prestige manner. And that's what we're trying to do. We will continue to have a plan throughout the year to maintain our foliage, whether it's on the mediums or whether it's in our parks. We just trimmed all our trees in our parks. We had plans to trim the trees around here. I think these trees have been trimmed a long time, and that's what our plan is to continue. We're maintaining our buildings. We should maintain our mediums.
Yeah. Okay. So as that plan moves along, and I just think there is better opportunity to align these things the most we can. I mean, I agree with you. You're not going to have it all tied down to the last tree. This is a moving target. I get that. I think people get that. Questions when an arborist coming forward and going into these new pines, that's a very sensitive topic for a lot of people. Starts wondering, is that going to be my corner next on my next tree? And the other thing I wanted to highlight is the safety of the median situation and the PECs and whether we have opportunities. So what's the process if you constantly see medians being, ran over by cars and, police is not there all the time to catch them, and that continues to be an issue. Is there an opportunity for PECs to be included or some temporary deterrent? Where someone can call and say, can I have, temporary, it could be a rock, I don't know. I know there's code to that, so it can be just anything, so.
So, Mr. Mayor, to answer a question, so I think it's important that we try to educate people before we take that initiative, and they can call me, they can call the police chief has responded, they could call code, and if they see if it's on a regular basis, we'll try to educate the resident and the contractors that they shouldn't be parking in the median. And that's been effective. I'm seeing as time goes on, less and less people are parking in the medians and are driving over into the medians and taking taking that initiative to park somewhere else. But that's putting pegs there. It's not a good look. I don't think anybody agrees with that. Some residents in the past had took upon themselves to put plantings of their own in the medians, and Public Works had to go out and remove those. We discouraged that, but we would ask them to call us directly so that we can educate the residents about the proper codes and before we start putting out pegs.
Do we know if this is something that's been discussed by the Parks Board? This issue specific, not to the trees.
Yes.
Do we still have
Yes,
them?
we've talked about, hold on, yeah, we've
Yeah,
talked
go ahead, Ted.
about, sorry, we've talked about the use, and on this, for the fact that you don't know this, it's probably because our minutes aren't that great, or that thorough. But we have talked about, having, if we have additional funds, the grants, if the grants all come through, that some of them could be for understory, as they're calling it. So yeah, this has been discussed. But as someone whose meeting is driven across all the time, I would be happy with 4x4s in the interim. Not a problem for me. So I think it's been discussed as a possible use of additional funds, and Albert can keep me honest here as to which grant that would allow or would allow for that.
So maybe a topic just to recover in the midst of this conversations and say, if there is established way to do it. Again, you're going to get people who are going to feel, well, I wasn't told I could do it, or I was told I couldn't do it, or I was told it by code you can do it. So I'm always trying to assert if there is a way we can provide a solution, even if it's temporary and in a proactive way. So maybe something to visit. John, I'll leave it up to you, but I appreciate the time. Again, I wanted to give clarity to and a little bit of the feedback from the administration on what the next steps are. And the rest, people need to come forward and to the Parks and Parkways and sort of put their thoughts forward. I know a lot of people participate when they can, and that's on everybody's schedule. But it was just to, I think, again, I'd rather be proactive than reactive. I'm not a huge fan of trying to see how we cover the whole. I want to see why are we taking it out and what we're going to do in advance.
Yeah. If I can just say one last thing before I do probably sign off for the night. I hear you, Commissioner, and I think that what you're talking about is getting off of the back of our feet, being on our back heels and getting on the front of our feet, playing on the front of our feet. And I think that now that you've given us the opportunity to put a ringer on our team from North 121st Street side, I think that maybe with her experience, we'll codify a lot of the things that you're questioning into policies, like how residents should act when they spot what they suspect is a dead or dying tree. All the things that you talked about, I think, could be codified, and we've already drafted stuff with an AI, which is fairly generic and would obviously need to be refined. And we can wait for Eliana to join the board before we take another look at that. But I think I hear what you're saying in the direction you want to go, and I agree that that should be our focus going forward. And I think Eliana will hopefully help us get there.
Love it. I'll be there. It's April 8th, the next meeting, right? No, I'm sorry,
That
next
would be
week.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Already a week gone. Okay, thank you, John. I appreciate it. Thank you,
All right.
everybody. That's it.
Cheers.
Great.
Thanks.
Vice Mayor, thank
Commissioner,
you.
before you finish, I would ask, would you want to send formally a question to the Parks and Parkway Board if they would like to entertain the idea of going next step, looking into designing understory and things like that? Because once we know that they have that intention, that we agree with that intention, we can start talking about sitting down for a plan, what is the plan to develop the plan,
Yes.
funding, things like that. I feel like that's your concern is developing that plan. And I think the first step is sending a formal message to them. Is this something you want to entertain? What is your next step? So we can start that dialogue back and forth, or sit down together in a formal meeting to start developing that. Once we have that dialogue open, that plan, then we can start looking for funding. But if we never start planning, we're never going to look for funding.
And I think John got it because he said it before. But I think to your point, it's been reaction but first because we got trees removed and the need was to replace them. So that was first. But yes, I think always we should come with a plan first and then move forward. I understand, we have a new member on the board. We have, the team sort of been working better and you can see on the minutes already. I love the idea that they're discussing the SOPs, codify. I mean, that's the way you start planning. So I think they're on the right track. If you need a formalized question, yes, John, I think that's the ultimate goal of the Parks and Parkways Board is come together with what beautification plan looks for the village and give us your recommendation on how to get there. But specific to what I wanted to be specific what was happening is it stopping tomorrow? And I think the answer is no. The answer is going to be we continue to see trees and we'll assess the health for safety concerns. But it's not, out of the will of just removing trees. We understand that it's got to be a reason behind it. And the other layer to that is communications. I don't think nobody deserves to wake up in the morning and not expect to see the tree they want, or not know what's going to be next, or what happened, and am I getting a tree next year, or why? And so I think when you have a plan, you avoid all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. I think that it would be important to get the Parks and Parkways Board opinion on this because they've been doing some really great work for us and we've been relying on them heavily. They've been delivering for us. So I think it's a good question that you proposed, Vice Mayor, and I think it's a good solution to have the parks look at it for us. And yeah, certainly the tree thing, what I would put set in my head is a tree by tree basis. Tree by tree basis. So I think that's a good solution. And I would certainly be interested in hearing from the Parks and Parkway Board on how we could implement and effectuate that. So if there's nothing else on that, Vice Mayor, thanks for putting that on. Thanks for the discussion. I think that we'll see some further developments with that with the involvement of the Parks Board. So if there's no further discussion on that item, that concludes our new business. And since we have no old business and nothing to move to the next item, at this point, if there's nothing else, Mr. Manager or John or the commission, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.